You can see a little bit as to what goes on behind the scenes. So you probably will see me fixing my hair or VM wiping the lens. And of course, we will then get started in just a couple of minutes with the actual show. And this is quite fun, I think. Now you can see what we get up to. We go out quite early in the afternoon and we start looking for things to show you. At the moment, there's lots of warthogs around, so that's going to be quite exciting for a little bit later. We're also going to be chatting to Windsor Oaks Elementary School at some point during the show. They're going to be joining us, which is a lovely group, and it's Mrs. Hubble's class. It's the same class from yesterday afternoon, so it's a group of 5-year-olds, which is quite exciting, I think. I'm looking forward to chatting with them again. Hopefully they've got lots of questions for us. But now it's time to just enjoy the peace and quiet and catch up on the nature that we missed from earlier today. Probably going to pass Byron at some part so we can all wave to him. And hopefully we'll have a few little tricks up our sleeve this afternoon in preparation for the drive. Kirsty's, thank you, Kirsty. I shall do that. So you'll hear us though over the next few days. We're chatting to the directors that are sitting in final control, deciding what we should do and where we should do it, what animals we should go and find, those types of things. It was quite nice. This is what we do. We just enjoy the fresh air for the first half an hour. Ah. And I know Herbert is out. He came to me just before we went and started getting ready for drive. He is going to try and help us look for leopards again, and hopefully we're going to find Tandy or Karula, one of the two that are just south of our traverse. So that'll be quite nice this afternoon, what I'm hoping. And I'm sure I'm going to bumble on and go back towards the Nkahumas, my favorite lions. But we'll get there at some point. Right, but it's time for me to say goodbye, but I'll say hello again in just a few. But I'll just let you enjoy the peace and quiet.
This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Just watching this elephant feeding quite close to us at the moment. And welcome. This is Safari Live. Good afternoon again, everybody, and welcome to our sunset safari. A beautiful, cool afternoon. We've got this elephant feeding all around us. Still a bit of cloud cover around, but welcome. Great to have you with us again. My name is Byron, and with me on camera this afternoon is David. Afternoon, David.
Hello.
And out on the other vehicle is Taylor and VM. We'll get a chance to say hi to them shortly. And the ladies in the FC, Kirsten. It's great to have you all with us. Welcome again on another exciting Safari Live. We've got this herd of elephant around us. We've got another afternoon school drive with us, which is great. Children from Windsor Oaks Elementary, Mrs. Hubble's class. Lovely to have you all with us again. We hope you enjoy it with us just as much as yesterday. Just having a look around, there's some more elephant. As I said, the temperature is quite cool. It's about 29 degrees Celsius, so about what's that, about 85 degrees Fahrenheit. So nice cool afternoon. You can see these elephants all around us at the moment just feeding. What a great way to start. Please don't forget that we are absolutely live. What we are seeing now is as we see it, which is fantastic. And please send us your questions through Twitter at #SafariLive, or otherwise email us questions@wildearth.tv. And the kids from Windsor Oaks Elementary, don't forget to ask your questions to Mrs. Hubble, and she'll send them to us and we'll answer them for you. There's another one. Let me just move forward a little bit here. There's a young elephant feeding off to the right. There we go. Have a look there. Wonderful. Look how it uses its trunk to try and pull leaves off of trees or break branches. They use their trunks for just about everything. And you can see those little tusks. This is still a young elephant, but they will use those tusks to also help break branches and feed on the trees or the grass. We had an exciting morning. I was out with Brian and we got to see a lot of really interesting little birds and different birds, which was great. And Taylor managed to find the lions, the Nk and Djuma pride, which have been around for quite a while. And they managed to kill another buffalo last night. So they fed on a buffalo, or have been feeding on a buffalo. So they're probably very, very full at the moment. That all happened this morning. These elephants are just, you can see, feeding through these thickets. We call this a thicket, a dense vegetation. All these trees, the little trees and that they move through. And for them it's very easy, and they can feed on all this plant material, all of these trees. All right, I think what we're going to do is we're going to carry on. Our plan this afternoon is we're going to head down towards Cheetah Plains and see what activity is going on around there. Maybe we're lucky. We looked for leopard this morning, no luck, or no sign of leopard just yet. So who knows, maybe this afternoon we get lucky. And while we do that, just move through this elephant herd. And while I move out of this area and towards Cheetah Plains, Taylor would love to say hi to you this afternoon.
Good afternoon again, and welcome to a fabulous afternoon sunset safari. My name is Taylor, and on camera with me we've got VM. There he is. Now, I know that there are some wonderful children from the Windsor Oaks Elementary School watching us this afternoon. Welcome to all of you. You must have enjoyed it yesterday then, if you're back again, and I hope to hear lots of questions from all of you. So remember, you're welcome to ask as many questions as you can, and Byron and I will try and answer them to our best ability. Now, we are going to try and find some lions this afternoon, and hopefully a letter. Sorry. Apparently the children are not watching right at this second. Okay, that's all right though. We'll have to welcome them again though. But anyways, we are looking for lions, of course. Well, we're also looking for a leopard if there are any around. Herbert is out again this afternoon. We're searching the southern boundary to see if Karula has perhaps crossed midday, and we know she likes to do that. She seems to do that quite often. Instead of moving when it's nice and cool, she moves when most likely the other predators won't be so active during the middle of the day, which is quite a clever strategy that the mothers of and their youngs often do. It's not just limited to leopards, of course. It's to a variety of animals. Now remember, we are currently live at the moment. I'm just looking up, saw some vultures sort of circling, but just catching the thermals. Oh, but we've got a piggy. Please don't scare my piggy away. There's the piggy. A lovely big warthog, who's most likely been in the mud. Yes, you can see fresh mud covering this lovely lady. And that's what I'd be doing today. It's very humid, which is unusual. Normally it's the dry heat up here, and perhaps it's the humidity building up now because we're going to get some big rains. Well, that's what I'm really hoping for. Oh, no. She didn't want to stick around though. That's okay. Perhaps she's not as sort of used to us as the other warthogs. So we'll leave her be and we'll continue with our search. And we're taking the scenic way around to head back towards the Nkahumas. But like I said, as we're doing that, I'm also checking a couple of roads that run along the drainage lines. Always a good spot to check for leopards. And anything else that will be around today trying to escape the heat. It doesn't seem like there's too much happening around here, just for the moment. Now, something that I'm hoping that we're going to start seeing is the snakes and the lizards and all those wonderful creatures that come out when the sun comes out. And I know, Ben, you were hoping that we would spot a couple today. I hope so. I know that Byron's been having quite a bit of luck lately with the tortoises, and we saw a terrapin we saw a couple of terrapin heads this morning in the dam, one of the dams. But I think today might be a little bit on the cooler side. It's nice and hot, but there isn't very much sun around. Well, it's been quite overcast throughout the entire day. So perhaps on a really sunny day, we're going to start to see those tree agamas coming out. And then, of course, I think once we have the explosion of termites, we might start seeing a couple of the constrictors of the snakes. So things like the brown house snakes, the spotted bush snakes. Often when the alates are released from the termite mounds, they tend to come out and nibble on a few of them too, and the frogs. So I expect that we're going to start seeing them possibly in the next couple of days, and hopefully a chameleon or two. I know everyone's absolutely so excited to whoever's going to spot the first chameleon. Yeah, we've got some impala, which are of course running away from me as usual. That's very typical. These two ladies. What are you two doing? Jumping around like buffoons. Don't waste your energy. What happens if there's a leopard behind the tree? Then you're going to wish you didn't jump around like that. And it's just the two of them. So I can't, oh no, there's a couple more running in the distance. You can see them now moving back towards the herd. The herd is probably a few more meters further into that thicket. But isn't the bush getting thick all of a sudden? The leaves have all started to develop now. And it's looking lovely and green, even after the rain that we had just the other day. It's looking really good. I can hear all the cuckoos, but I think it could just be a little bit too far away to hear the cry of the black cuckoo. Right, let's continue. So I know that Byron said he was wanting to go to Cheetah Plains today. And I was hoping to do that, but it's okay. We'll let Byron go. Maybe he finds those cheetah. Maybe he brings us some luck this afternoon. Maybe tomorrow morning we can go to Cheetah Plains. But before we lose Byron to the gremlins, those little spots along the road towards Cheetah Plains, let's go and head across to him for a little update.
So we just had something interesting, very, very briefly. We had a slender mongoose. It's a species of mongoose that we get in this area. It just ran across in front of the vehicle, but it ran very quickly So we couldn't show you, unfortunately, but a lot of the locals in this area, in this greater Kruger area, or this northeastern part of South Africa where we are, they have a belief about the slender mongoose. And it is said that if it runs in front of you or across the road in front of you with the tail down, it is said to be good luck. If it runs with the tail held up high, it's said to be bad luck. So this mongoose ran in front of us with the tail down. So maybe it's some good luck for us. You never know. We are heading towards Cheetah Plains. I see something in the distance. I'm not sure. Let's just have a look if it was buffalo, perhaps. Unless I'm seeing things. No, there is a buffalo, thank goodness. Doubting myself for a second. We'll show you shortly. Hang on, let's just see. There we go. There's a nice view of it through there. Straight ahead. You'll be able to see it shortly. There we go. A lot of these little pans in the area. That looks like an old bull. A lot of these little pans in the area seem to have filled up quite nicely after all the rain that we had. You'll see it just in front of, there we go, there's one right there, just in front of that buffalo. A few days ago these were completely dry, and now they've filled up a little bit, so nice mud wallows and a lot of water around for the animals, which is great. This is an old buffalo bull, so that's probably why he is alone. Often these older males don't like to move around with the herd, because the herds, big herds of buffalo, all the females, the youngsters, and some dominant males, they'll cover huge distances. They'll constantly walk around looking for food. And these old males usually prefer an area where there's a mud wallow, some good food around, and they don't have to walk too far. And then if the herd does pass by again at a later stage, they may join them for a short period of time, but then usually split off and find a nice area. And occasionally you can get these males forming groups and small bachelor herds, so just the males, and they can range from 2 up to 10 or 15 sometimes, all depends. So that's really great. As I was saying earlier, it's a little bit overcast still. There's still some cloud cover around, but it is still fairly warm. And one of the important things, we actually were asked about it this morning, and one of the viewers asked us, you can see I'm used to guiding guests all the time, one of the viewers asked us, do we always wear sunscreen? And we do. So I thought it's probably important that I show you the correct way in putting sunscreen on. So I've got my sunscreen, and what you need to do is get a fair amount of sunscreen, not too much, you don't want to waste. So just about that, especially for your face. So you apply a little bit on your forehead, a little bit on your cheeks, just like that. And then what you need to do is just rub it in like this. So that's how you apply sunscreen in the bush. And hopefully you don't get burnt, and don't forget the ears, because the ears can often get burnt too. So I hope I've rubbed it all in. Thanks, Dave, looking good. We're going to continue towards Cheetah Plains now and see what we can find down there. But who knows what we bump into along the way. There's always animals walking and wandering around these main roads. This is kind of a main access road between the different properties, different areas that we traverse. And there's some guinea fowl right next to the road. Oh, and they're fighting. Ah, beautiful birds, guinea fowl. They're busy chasing each other. Look at that, the helmeted guinea fowl. And look at that blue head with the reddish face or forehead, and that what looks like a helmet on top of the head. That's where they get the name, the helmeted guinea fowl. Look at those beautiful white spots on the feathers. And these birds can also often be a good indicator if there's a predator around. They make quite an interesting alarm call. So, and I've found leopards on a number of occasions, just by listening to guinea fowl. They'll fly up into the trees to get away from the predator, and then they alarm call, and that will, well, what they try and do is mob the predator or make enough noise to cause it to move away. We're going to continue to cheetah plains. While I do that, let's see what Taylor's up to.
We've managed to come across a couple of giraffe. There seems to be 3 of them in this area, but I do want to officially welcome the Windsor Oak Elementary School. Hello again. You probably remember me from yesterday, but just in case you've forgotten, my name is Taylor, and on camera with me, we've got VM. Different camera operator today. Now let's have a look at these beautiful giraffe. I think I actually even saw giraffe with you yesterday very briefly. Isn't that lucky? We seem to be seeing plenty of them at the moment. Now, those are 2 young males that have decided that they don't like us very much, and they ran away. But they seem to be settling down now. You can see that they're happy. They're starting to eat, which is lovely. Oh, look at that one. That one's going right down. What are you doing? I can't see any water there. There's a pool of water in front of me, which I was really hoping that this giraffe was going to go and drink from. But it seems as though this mature boy, so he's an older male, an older boy, he seems to be moving off now. But look at his reflection in the water. Isn't that amazing? It's like a mirror. There's not a breath of wind today. It is very, very quiet here. Why is everybody running away from us? But let's see if we can, here we go, maybe we can try and get a better view. I think we should reposition. Let's try and keep up with these giraffes. Now, remember, I'm hoping to hear some questions from you, so you're welcome to ask Mrs. Hubble, and I will answer all your questions you have about the giraffe. So let's see how many questions you can ask me in the next few minutes before the giraffe decide to disappear. We're going to park just over here. We get a nice view now of this beautiful big boy. Look at how tall he is, especially when he sticks his head up. I wish that you could all try and stand next to him, and I bet that you would probably fit right underneath his stomach. Let's see if he's going to use his long tongue. Maybe not. He seems to just be picking away at all the nice new green leaves that are coming through there. But the giraffe have a very long tongue. It's, if you take your ruler and you add another 10 centimeters, if you add 1/3 of that. I just want to say hello. Okay, hang on. Byron is chatting away to Herbert for me. That's perfect. Sorry, so if you take your ruler and you divide your ruler by 3, so you make it into 3 sections, and you add another section of your ruler on top of it, and then that's how long a giraffe's tongue is. Can you believe it? And sometimes when the trees are too high and they can't reach the leaves, they will stick their long tongues out and grab some of the nice leaves. Isn't that amazing that they're able to do that? But today, there's no need to use its tongue as well as it normally will, because the leaves are right there. Now, if you look very closely at this tree, it's actually got lots and lots of thorns on it, and it's quite amazing that the thorns of this knob thorn doesn't really bother the giraffe at all. Hey, having a look in the distance, I think he heard the other giraffe that are moving away from us. Now he's just looking over to say hello to them, just to see what they're doing. So giraffe don't really make any noises. We know that the lions like to roar. The impala, which is the antelope, they make a barking sound like a dog, as do most of the antelope. The zebra make a very strange noise, a bleating noise. And of course the birds sing beautiful songs for us. But the giraffe, unfortunately, can't make very many noises. Sometimes they can make a strange noise like that. Okay. So I'm making all these funny noises. It seems as though, please excuse me everyone, it seems as though the school is having a couple of issues this afternoon, but hopefully they'll get back. So I do apologize for making those bizarre noises, though I'm sure you probably would have enjoyed the laugh. Remember the class that we're dealing with today, they're quite young, they're only about 5 years old, so I have to sort of play it down a little bit more than what I would if I was talking to you. But I won't be making any strange noises for the next few minutes. But I think what we're going to do is we're going to move on from these giraffe now, because I want to try and get around towards the Nkahumas. Right, but let me head on over to the Nkahumas, who I don't think would have gone too far. And while we do that, let's go back across to Byron.
Look what we found wallowing in one of these little pools of water. A large hippo. Really interesting. It doesn't look deep enough for this hippo, but I think because it's been a bit cooler today, it's chosen this water hole, probably been moving around, feeding during the evening, which is what they do. They eat at night, usually, and then during the day they return back to the water and rest there and spend the day in the water because their skin is very sensitive to the harsh sunlight out here. But I think this one has probably been rolling around in the mud a lot, and that will protect its skin. So even though this water isn't deep enough for it to submerge, it's still protected enough because it can roll around. It looks like it's got some mud on the back there. And as I said, today is a bit cooler. It is overcast, so the sun isn't as harsh as it usually is. And that's perhaps why this hippo is in a wallow like this. Often what happens too is with these hippo, they may get chased out of a pod by another dominant male. Perhaps males often have territorial disputes where a big dominant male will challenge another one and chase that male out, and that male then has to go and find another little dam or pan or mud wallow like this even to get away from that big male. And he looks very relaxed. James has asked us a question. He would like to know, are the mosquitoes breeding in all these water holes? And James, I think at the moment with the rainfall that we had, yes, the chances of more mosquitoes being around, especially around these water holes, are very high. They do require a lot of moisture, and that's why they're mainly active in summer, not so much in winter. We see very few mosquitoes in winter, also because of the temperatures. But now these little mud wallows and pans provide a perfect breeding habitat for mosquitoes. So they will be breeding around here, and we'll start seeing most likely a lot more mosquitoes, although we've actually had a lot already. Around camp there seem to be plenty at the moment. So we do all have to be very careful. We're going to leave this hippo in the puddle and carry on to Cheetah Plains. Taylor has got something else in a puddle she would like to show you.
Finally, look at this little terrapin who has poked its head up in this mud wallow, and now it is staring at us. And I love the way that it's moving slightly with the sort of gentle breeze that's blowing all of the debris that's on the surface on the water, and I think that's quite amazing. Oh no, not hanging around, because it almost makes it look like it's perhaps just a piece of wood or like I said, some form of debris that is on the surface of the water, rather than indeed an animal. Now, as VM pointed out, it is edible size. It was quite a small one, probably only about that big or so. So I don't blame it for disappearing very quickly. And I must tell you, I heard the first class's cuckoo. Now, I'm just sitting listening, whistling the bird tunes that I was hearing, and then I stopped and went, hey, that's one I haven't seen just yet. And of course, the class's cuckoo, let me show you a photo very quickly. And the reason how I recognized its call is because it sounds like it's saying a word, Mikey, Mikey, which is quite a beautiful call. Let's see, C for cuckoo. So that was quite nice to hear. Now, hopefully we'll be able to see one. Let's find the actual name of it though. What did I say it was? The class's cuckoo. 238. Let's go there very quickly. Now, the reason why I want to show you the class's cuckoo, it's in this middle section here. You see that? Because it's very similar looking to the Diederik's cuckoo. So if you go up a little bit, VM, you should see that. There we go. Now, these are the two I want to show you. Class's cuckoo, and then, of course, the Diederik's cuckoo. If you see them very quickly, they can be quite confusing. But you can see that the Diederik's cuckoo has got a red eye. If you just go up, so I want to point that out. You see how it's got a very red sort of skin around the eye. Now, the class's cuckoo doesn't have that. And, of course, the Diederik's cuckoo seems to be a little bit more barred on the side of its body, where the class is almost pure white. And this will obviously be very difficult to tell the difference between the two juveniles as well. It's a hard one. So when we eventually do find either of the birds, it'll be quite nice if we're able to catch them on camera, to actually be able to sit and have a look and see if we're able to identify them. You see, I thought I saw a cuckoo, but it's not a cuckoo. And our terrapin has not popped its head up again. I think it's a little bit on the frightened side and possibly wondering why we are still sitting here watching it. I don't blame that little guy. I'd be a little bit worried if I had a big green thing sitting next to me too. Oh, we've got hornbills up in the tree above us. Some red-billed hornbills. Haven't been seeing too many yellow around. It's probably going to fly as its mate is also just taken off. Oh no, you're just hopping up higher, watching its partner in the distance. And we must go back and see if we can have a look at that hornbill nest again. I know it was quite difficult though to get a view because it was on the other side of the tree and from the road. Maybe I will tell Steph exactly where it is, and perhaps when he's doing a bushwalk in the near future, he'll be able to go and show you, and then maybe get around to the other side. Can you hear the cuckoo in the distance? I'm sure you can hear that. Now I have a question for you. Seeing as though we've been hearing all of the cuckoos and chatting a lot about them, I want to know if you could hear that call. Kirsty, could you hear that in final control? I just want to double check that you did. Fantastic. Kirsty's just confirmed it. Now there's no excuses. I want to know which cuckoo was calling in the background there. Obviously we've been chatting about the various types. Let's see who's first to figure that one out. So you can send your answers through to questions@wildearth.tv on an email, or of course you can hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. And then I'd love to hear as to what your guesses are this afternoon. And that's also a tricky one though, because there's two of them that look very similar and sound the same as well. But there's a clue that should help you a little bit, and let's see who gets the answer right first. But like I said, we're slowly making our way back around to where we saw the Nkahumas. Now James, speaking about feathery creatures, you want to know what bird has got the longest tail feathers in this area. Now I'm going to have to think a little bit, and we'll probably open this up to a discussion, of course, and we'll see what everybody else thinks as well. So what do you think, James? This is quite a nice question. I'm enjoying doing this with all of you back at home, is instead of just telling you things, it's quite nice to have discussions about it. And why do you think this is this? And this is what we normally would do on knowledge sharing. We go out as guides. So let's see who's got long tails here. We've obviously got the magpie shrikes who've got incredibly long tails. At my first guess, I'd probably go with magpie shrike. But then, of course, we've also got the grey go-away birds who have got long tails, and then the purple-crested Toroccos, which we occasionally see. They indeed have got long feathers on their tails too. Now, I'm not sure, I haven't seen any pin-tailed widers up here. I'm sure they must occur. We got them down in the south, so it wouldn't surprise me if there were a couple around here. Fantastic. Kirst has just confirmed that you have indeed seen a couple of them. Now, when the males get their breeding feathers, they also get very long tails. And I wonder if the breeding feathers, those tail feathers of the pin-tailed wider of the male, possibly isn't longer to that of the magpie shrike. So I think those are my top contenders. I'm going to go between the male pin-tailed wider with his breeding plumage, his long tail, or it's either the magpie shrike. And what does everybody else think? I'd love to hear what you would think and why you think it's that. So please let me know, and let's have a lovely discussion this afternoon. So we're discussing two things. We're trying to find out what bird was calling in the distance, and then we also want, what do you think your guesses are as to who's got the longest tail feathers? Now, I'm hoping to catch a cuckoo on camera this afternoon. I've been dying to. I know Byron was lucky and got a couple. I think he got a few African cuckoos, which was really lucky. Every time I seem to see them, we sit patiently and wait, and they only hang around for a few seconds and then disappear. I'm going to try and find a black cuckoo this afternoon, though. That'll be nice to see. I don't know if anybody this season has managed to get one on camera, well, since they've come back again. But we will try. Like I said, I am taking the scenic way around. I'm looping and going back and going forth, seeing if we can pick up on anything else as we drive along. I'm going in here. This will be a good area also to check for cuckoos. They seem to like to sit on the tops of the dead trees. Well, I'm going to be checking and scanning those, so if you see me gazing up into the sky, it's just because I'm looking for the birds that sit on top of the trees. Ooh, quickly try and get out of this little dip that we were in. Gremlins were trying to jump on, but I beat them off with my imaginary stick. It's a gremlin stick that only gremlins can see. Oh. Oh no, I think he's gone too far. There was a warthog. Let's see if we can get him again. Looked like a big ball, but he was quite scared. And when I put my foot to the brake, he didn't know what to do. Oh, you can see him. He's actually just VM. Can you see him running off to the... There he goes. He's going to come into frame. And there he disappears. Look how well camouflaged that is. Now, that's not even a thick wall of trees. And that just shows you, I mean, even a buffalo could hide behind there. So as we start to walk around now, at this time of the year, we really, really have to be careful. In summer, you can obviously be a little bit more blasé, if you will, because everything is so open, you can see for kilometers ahead. But after this little bit of rain now, the bushes really become quite dense, and it makes it that much difficult for us. Now, getting a couple of answers coming through, or guesses, as we have these discussions about the different things I've been chatting about. And Robin says that ostrich feathers could possibly be the longest. Now, that's a good guess too. I'm trying to think of the ostrich feathers I've found. They're quite big, especially on the wings. Not that they can use them to fly, but they're quite long. Good guess, Robin. You see that? But it's an ostrich is not a common one that we see. But it would be nice to actually get the measurements of exactly of the wings. Now, unfortunately, I don't have any of those measurements in any of my bird books. I'd probably have to either do it myself or maybe ask the internet and see if by any chance there's some information on that. Unfortunately, it's quite limited as to what we have in the books. Ben, you've said a long-tailed widow bird. I haven't seen any long-tailed widow birds up here. Perhaps there are. I'm still also building my bird list for Djuma. Oh, hello. Now, there's a young Inyala. Oh no, it's not too young. He's going to come out now on the right. You see, I'm just going to stop. There he is. See, these guesses are really good. Now you're really twisting my brain. I thought that I was spot on with the birds, and I thought it would have been a shoo-in, choosing the magpie shrike or the pin-tailed wider. But it seems as though you're all coming up with great answers, and I absolutely love that. And that's what nice, feeding each other these questions, having these discussions, and making your brain work really hard. So that's really nice. I'd love to hear from a few more of you. Has anybody had any idea as to which cuckoo was calling yet? Just going, let's actually have a look at this go-away bird that's up in the top of this tree, this jackalberry. Now, Robin, you've also made another comment saying, what about a secretary bird? Robin, there could definitely be a secretary bird. I have yet to see a secretary bird in the sands. Look at this go-away bird jumping around in the tree. Seems to be very excited. I'm not sure if it lost its footing, and that's why it sort of clambered around like that. Secretary birds have got very long feathers indeed. I've forgotten about all these ginormous birds that occur. I went and chose the smallest ones. They're very excited. Oh, there we go. You see how it's looking, trying to get that fruit of the jackalberry? Oh, doing a daring display of dangling from some very thin twigs. And obviously that fruit possibly wasn't too ripe. It went in and tried to have a little taste and decided to go somewhere else. But look how agile it is as it hops through this big tree. Now, I didn't even get to taste a jackalberry this year. Well, I haven't. Oh no. I tried and I looked along the ground and I didn't find any, and I suppose these are the main culprits as to why they are all gone. Thank you very much. Go away birds. There's another one. It doesn't look too ripe though. It looks very green still. And now when the fruit is ripe, it goes a lovely yellow color and it's nice and soft. But they typically fall off and will be on the ground. That's when you see lots of warthogs and things hanging around the bases of the trees, of the fig trees, of the jackalberries, and of course the marulas when they start to drop off. But you are a very busy go-away bird, determined. How on earth is this bird spotting all that fruit? Because I tried to have a look up in the tree and I couldn't see any. Just shows you how much we really do miss and how we don't pay attention to things. Now I think this poor go-away bird, as hard as it's trying, is not really being rewarded. Like I said, unfortunately, those fruit are not very ripe. There we go, is another one. No, still hard. You can see desperately trying to crack it. And like I said, when it's ripe, you can squeeze it in your fingers. A little bit, struggling quite a bit there. Yeah, it got a little bit on its beak, but I don't think very much, and I'm sure it must taste quite bitter. But there's not even guarri fruits anymore, so this is sort of the last of the fruit until the marulas arrive. So I'm sure these birds will be quite desperate and sort of feed on anything. We've got a couple of answers coming through. Sorry for the cuckoo quiz. Andy, you've said that, was it a Jacobin cuckoo? It could have been. I'll chat a little bit more about that. Actually, let me get my phone going and we'll try and find the calls. And then we will decide as to who it was. Let's go cuckoos again. This is quite interesting. This go-away bird now seems to be quite happy with feeding on this fruit. Perhaps it's not the tastiest, but it seems to be the only one that it's able to get its beak inside. But after much sort of pecking at it and I suppose loosening up the fruit, it'll provide a little bit of sustenance. Now, what I want to do is I want to play some calls for you, so we're going to listen to some calls. I have a bird app on my phone, so we're going to listen to the Jacobin cuckoo very quickly, and I'm going to play another call for you. Okay, that's the Jacobin. I'm going to play another one for you. I'm going to play you the Levalence cuckoo. Very similar, don't you think? Very, very similar. Now I'm going to get the book out because I want to show you the birds. These are another two species of cuckoo that are very similar. But I've already forgotten the page that they were on, so I have to go back and look it up again. Where are you, cuckoo? No, why am I doing that? I don't know why I'm doing that. I ask myself silly questions sometimes. Cuckoo, yes, you're on the other page. 236. Short-term memory loss over there. Just going a little bit too far. Almost here. And we've got them. Right. So, let's start with a Jacobin. The first call that we play. I apologize, my hands are a little bit dirty, but I was digging for things just before we started the show. Now, you see the Jacobin. Notice how there's no bars or stripes on the breast. Can you see that? It's sort of very white. Also got quite a long tail. I don't think as long though as the magpie shrikes. Now we're going to go to the top right and look at the Levalence. You see that? Very, very similar, except the barring, of course. Another difference is if you look at the tail, you can see it's almost got a 3-spot pattern on its tail, but that is a very difficult angle to see on a bird unless it's flying straight over the top of your head. And if we go down to the Jacobin cuckoo, you see how it's only sort of got 2 pairs of spots on its tail. Like I said, that is a really hard one to sort of use. So I always go for the stripes on the chest. Now they both occur in this area, and that sound was quite a tough one. I think it sounded a little bit deeper, a little bit more like the Levalence cuckoo, but I think we'll know for sure until we actually find one. So good guesses, and it's something just to keep in mind, to keep thinking about how there's so many birds that have similar calls that almost look very similar. But I believe that Byron has finally reached his destination. Let's go across to Cheetah Plains.
Yes, I'm back. Oh, I'm on Cheetah Plains at the moment, Taylor, that's right. And myself and Dave are scanning very, very carefully just to see what we can find. There's some impala. We haven't got any updates of any predator activity yet, but what we have seen is big elephant tracks in the road. It looks like a massive, massive bull, and it seemed to have cut off in that direction, and we could see some of the devastation that he caused back there. He broke a massive branch. Almost, it looked like a huge tree stump which had broken down and obviously fed on the leaves or the branches high up. Love to see this big male because, judging by the size of his tracks, he is really, really big. So let's scan carefully around here. Maybe he's gone out into one of the clearings. That would be great. And we are moving towards the plains. You know, Taylor was here a few days ago and she was lucky she got to see some cheetah. So maybe, who knows? If we're lucky, we might see some cheetah. And if that mongoose story is correct, the slender mongoose that ran in front of us, the tail was down and it's said to be good luck. Well, some of the locals believe it to be good luck. We have some buffalo just off to the right, a small group of buffalo. And there's a red-billed oxpecker. Oh, that's just flown off. Often see a lot of oxpeckers around these buffalo. They pick off the ticks and the fleas. I know Taylor's been chatting to you about a number of birds and the cuckoos. We've been lucky. I've seen 2 cuckoo in the last day, 2 different species of cuckoos, the African cuckoo and the red-chested cuckoo, which was really nice. There we go. There is an oxpecker on that buffalo, red-billed oxpecker. So we've seen quite a few buffalo around. There's a lot of buffalo in the area at the moment, and I think that's why the lions have been so successful in hunting them. It's because there are so many around, and also they're not in great condition because of the drought that we've had. You can actually see this one that is feeding over there. If we look at the ribs, you'll notice, see the ribs are showing they're not really in good condition. But hopefully with the rain that we had the other night, more vegetation will start growing very quickly, more grass, which is what the buffalo need. We're going to move on. Let's carry on and get towards these plains. I want to have a look around those plains and look very carefully. The other day we were here, we were lucky. Also got to see side-striped jackal, which was a nice surprise. And they do tend to prefer nice open areas. So who knows? Now, I wonder where that big elephant is that we saw. Sometimes our signal out here, or our communications out here this far away from camp aren't that great, so we occasionally lose the ladies in the FC. But keep your questions coming through, they will get them to us either way. Let's try to scan this area off to the right. Just looking for that elephant. See if it's come through around here. There's nothing at this waterhole at the moment. If you look just off to our left, just there, nothing around here. Let's drive down this way a little bit. Just see him scanning around. It's nice and open here, so you can see quite a way, or quite a distance. So big elephant bull will be easy to spot. Well, you'd think so. It's not always the case. Ah, there we go. There's something different. Just hiding through there. A zebra, everyone, look, two of them. Just reverse a little bit more. How's that? There we go. There were a couple of them feeding through there. The Burchell's zebra, or the plains zebra. They're also trying to find any little bit of grass around there. And let's carry on. The zebra has moved off, or was just feeding through the thicket there. The other one's moved off a little bit further in. I think they probably came and drank at that waterhole behind us. There's a lot more over here. See, they like these open areas. Hang on, let me just see. There we go. There's a nice one, some impala in front of them. Nice zebra sighting. Lovely to see them. Often you find zebra and wildebeest together in the clearings. It's nice to see impala with them too. Reason for that, these animals like feeding in open areas and they'll alert each other if there are any predators. So for safety, it makes sense for all these herbivores to be in the same area. And out in the clearings, they can then also see if there are any predators. Much easier than they would if they were in the thickets. And it's quite open, even though there are a few trees around here, it's very, very open at the moment. So it would be easy to spot any danger. Let's carry on towards the plains. Just going to see, I don't know if I can maybe signal to the ladies in the FC if we got communication, because I'm not getting anything from them. I don't know. Anyway, we'll see. So I really don't know if they are getting questions. We've lost them, so we're probably still live. I don't know. Oh, we're live. Okay, cool. So we are live. Fantastic. So not sure how much of the last segment you got. I don't know if I'd lost you there or not. We do experience a little bit of technical issues at times. And I think while I scan these clearings around, why don't you head back to Taylor and see if she's got the lions yet.
We managed to find a Koki Franklin, as you can see. This is a male and is walking off into the distance. And unfortunately, he's not accompanied by a lady friend this afternoon, which is what we've been seeing quite a lot of, is the birds meeting up and getting together, strengthening the bonds between the two of them, building nests, and then, of course, laying eggs. So perhaps you'll have a little bit of luck a bit later. Maybe he's still quite a young male and hasn't quite established himself in this sort of breeding season. But they're beautiful birds, and it's a Franklin that we don't always get to see. And I think it's probably one of the prettiest Franklins with that sort of bright orange head and the beautiful barred feathers. Oh no, there is the lady friend. Well spotted, VM. Well, there we go. You can see that the camouflage is working very well. I take back everything that I said. Madam, you are hiding away from me very, very well. Maybe I only saw him cross the road, so she could have still been on the other side. And, well, let's admit she's a lot more camouflaged than what he is. She sort of disappears into the back of those trees, where he, with that bright orange head, stands out a little bit more. Okay, never mind. He's obviously established himself in the breeding world. But they are lovely birds. We seem to be having lots of luck with the birds, of course, over the last couple of mornings and the last couple of afternoons. And someone who would like to check on a little bit later is perhaps Mr. and Mrs. Magpie Shark and see how their beautiful chicks are doing. But I've been promising you in Kahumas. I'm going to try and show you in Kahumas, but we're still going to head on over to where they last were seen, and hopefully they'll still be around there. We're not far now. We're now on Central on Hyena Road, so we've just got to go through a dip past Gowrie Cut Line, well, and then we would almost have arrived at our destination. But let's carry on. Go through here. Now, also, a moment ago, I heard a kudu alarm calling, but it was bizarre. It was just 2 barks, and then that was it. There was nothing further. That's why I didn't really race on over to go and investigate, because normally if it is a potential threat like a leopard or a lion, they'll often alarm call for a lot longer than just sort of 2 barks. Oh, we had a little buffalo crossing. Yes, buffalo, you all need to go a little bit further west. Can you go west for us and not go south? And of course you all know why. After that squeak, you all know why I, of course, want the buffalo to go towards the Nkuhumas. Look at this cow. She's giving us a serious death stare, head raised. Now, this is a warning sign, typically. Now, she's smelling us now. It's not that she's going to charge or anything. And of course, she's got the ox peck on her back, but with buffalo, they don't give very many warning signs. They sort of do this raised head, the odd snort, and maybe they stamp their front feet, but that's really about it. So you don't really have too much time to prepare if you are on foot with them. It's okay, girl, but maybe they've been smelling the lions. Maybe they were part of the herd that the Nkuhumas hunted off of last night. But, of course, the oxpecker doesn't seem too worried about what's going on, because when you've got wings, you can just fly away. Yeah, oxpecker getting through those hard bristles, got a little tasty snack. Now, Melinda, you were wondering, how does it occur that a buffalo can break its horn? Now, that happens when the buffaloes will actually fight. So when they clash horns together, it's almost like 2 cars going at about 40 kilometers an hour and then driving sort of straight into each other. You can imagine the kind of damage that could cause, and that's where a broken horn can often come into play. Normally we see it with bulls, but occasionally we can see it with the cows as well. Perhaps they get into sort of a domestic with one of the other males. Yeah, oxpeckers, they're not enjoying the little ones. They just flew back over to the cow that was giving us the death stare. Now, I don't blame them for being a little bit on the nervous side. There doesn't seem to be too many of them here. I'm just going to count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, maybe a 10 here, maybe 11. So it's a small group of buffalo. And of course that makes it easier for the Nkuhumas to sort of fend off. If they do grab one buffalo, well, then it's not going to be too difficult to try and chase the rest of the herd away. If it was a herd of 100 buffalo or even 50 buffalo, that would, of course, be a little bit different. But let's carry on. Maybe we see these buffalo again a little bit later. You never know. I would like to see the lions and the buffalo together. And quite a few youngsters. I didn't see any big bulls in this herd either. It was that cow who seemed to have been the oldest, and there were a couple of juvenile bulls, youngsters, possibly only about 2 or 3 years old, so nowhere near their sort of maximum body weight and just their size in general. So perhaps that's why she was taking a little bit more of a nervous stance towards us, as maybe she's the oldest and the most experienced, and everyone else is relying on her expertise in order to keep them nice and safe, which is quite a lot of pressure, I think, to put on one animal. Right, we're going through the little dip now. Just double check both sides for any footprints and of course any leopards. Right, up we go, this little bumpy section. The roads, unfortunately, have taken a real knock after the rains, and it is so typical that we get rain after they have graded the roads. I felt so sorry for the maintenance team, because now they have to go and do it all over again. But it'd actually be good to grade the roads now and resurface them after a bit of rain, with the soil being a little bit on the softer side. And we're almost there, we're not far now, we've passed Gari Cut Line. Just got to head on past the dam. We'll have a little scan across from the northern side, have a look, and then, well, we're probably about 4 or so minutes away from seeing the Nkuhumas. Well, let's keep our fingers crossed that they're still there. We know that they don't seem to enjoy finishing the carcasses. They just sort of move on when they're half done and then go and catch themselves a fresh one. We'll have a little scan over here. Have a little look. So you can see it doesn't look like there's too much happening. It looks very quiet. We're just realigning. So I parked on a little bit of a bump. Oh, but you know what I am going to show you is I've just seen one of the crested barbets land on this marula. Can you see it up on top there in between that fork at the back? Here we go. Now we know that there's a nest here. Let me roll back a little bit. I'm going to have to drive. Okay, we're going to very quickly reposition because we know that there's a barbet nest in here. I know I think we tried yesterday and unfortunately they weren't around, but let's just poke our nose through here. Can you see that little hole up top in the tree? Well, I told you, we always get distracted. Well, I always get distracted. It's impossible for me to focus on one thing. So there's the crested barbet's hole in the trunk of this marula tree. Now it's definitely gone inside. Now we have to play the patience game, but I'm sure that that adult will come out. It's been quite active for almost well more than a week now. And we've been seeing them going in and out with food. So I presume that they are chicks. They can have anywhere sort of between 2 and 5 chicks. Normally quite common to have about 3 chicks. Now, we're chatting quite a bit about birds and how to identify them and certain features. Now, type RSA, you're asking this afternoon, what is the best way to try and identify a bird if you have no idea what sort of family they're in without having to page through the book? Now, you know what? It just takes lots and lots of practice. Some of these books, and maybe I'll quickly show you because it doesn't seem like the barbets are coming out. So normally when you buy a bird book, there's obviously a front cover, but I've had this book for many, many years now and it's been on all sorts of adventures with me. Now you'll have the front cover and often you open it and you have these sort of keys. Can you see that? Of these different types of birds. And this is what I found helped me quite a bit when I was first starting guiding and I hadn't learnt the various families. But let's keep an eye out on this barbet nest. Let's see if it's coming out and I can carry on talking. Now, I found that helped quite a bit. Oh, we've got a head sticking out. Yes, there's an adult with its head poking out of the hole. So type RSA, my recommendation to you is just to go through the different families. Not that you have to learn every single bird, but it does help when you're trying to identify a bird quickly. It does come with time and experience. It's not something that you can do overnight. And like I said, you just have to keep practicing. It's like the art of tracking, you know, being able to identify certain footprints very quickly without, once again, paging through until you find whatever animal may have left it. But that key in the front of your book is probably the easiest because then you start to get an idea, oh, okay, this bird looked a little bit like that. And you go and you have a look and you have a look in all the different ones. Okay, no, it wasn't that. But the next page has got, you know, the cousin of that particular bird. And then that's an easier way to find it. But don't worry, I still sometimes page through books looking for whatever bird I may have been looking for. Sometimes it's even hard for me. And then once you get a little bit more experience, you'll start to be able to see their sort of flight pattern. This is another sort of a useful way to try and identify birds, is to learn the different motions that birds will fly, from sailing to sort of the jagged movements that the drongos sometimes do. They're very acrobatic in the sky. And you start learning these different things, and then eventually that will also help you. And you'll go, okay, doves and like to sail. Hornbills sometimes sort of sail too. And they do all these different types of things, or which birds fly with their legs sticking out that you can see. So for instance, like the storks, that helps quite a bit when it comes to identifying birds. But I don't think we're going to have too much luck now with these crested barbets, but at least we got to have a little glimpse of one poking its head out. So maybe that was the female who's now doing a little bit of incubation. Just trying to keep those little chicks nice and warm. But I'm really enjoying finding all these nests, and of course with everyone's help. It's really, really fun. And I think the ones that we're going to enjoy the most is the story of the magpie shrikes, and hopefully we'll get those little chicks leaving the nest as well and watching them stumble along. And I don't think they will go too far once they fledge either, just because they're quite territorial, so they have areas that they mark and defend. But let's go around the corner. Like I said, just bear with me for a couple of minutes. Should be at the sighting where the Nkuhumas were in a moment. Also just want to double check that they haven't walked around during the day. Don't see any footprints just yet. But we know that over the past few days they haven't been enjoying walking on the road. They walk everywhere else except the road. I'm going to turn my radio on. I know Herbert was trying to get hold of me. Let me quickly just chat to him. Herbert for Taylor. I'm just on Mvubu Road, approaching the last lock of the Ngala. Just chatting to Herbie. Okay, copy that. I'll have a quick look around here. Thanks, Herbie. I'm going to go radio down again. Oh, okay. So this is where the lions were. But it seems as though they're no longer here. They were playing in this well, let's go up a little bit further. And there's the carcass. Oh, these Nkuhumas. I knew they were going to do this. Pesky cats. Okay, let's have a look at the carcass. Now I wonder where they've gone. So they obviously left, and I haven't seen any tracks, and I know Herbert said he's trying to have a look for them as well, try and give us a helping hand. So I can't believe that they've moved off. They are so sneaky. Now the problem comes in now is that we're unsure of where they're going to be drinking water, because there's so many pools of water, and I want to show you exactly that. Just up ahead there is a mud wallow where I suspect that they probably would have gone to drink and not headed back towards the dam. That carcass is smelling delicious. Okay, I'm just going to take you around the corner. Here we are. We're getting to the little wallow that I want to show you. Let's see if we can get you a lion footprint. I'm sure that they would have drank from in here. Looks like something's been in here though. Sorry, I'm very close. It's very difficult. There's not much sort of width on the road. But you can see that the water is all churned up, and there's quite a bit of water that's been sprayed on the outside. So perhaps earlier today some elephants were here, or even a buffalo or something along those lines. Sorry, I'm just double checking. I'm seeing lions everywhere, but they're not actually lions. And now I think, if I remember driving past here this morning, I did see lion footprints in there. But with the water being all churned up now by whoever was splashing around in this wallow, they've covered the footprints. But this is where they were indeed drinking. Now we need to figure out where they've gone. Now, they could have just gone straight back into this big block. It's quite a large block between Gowrie Cutline and Mvubu Road. But maybe what we'll do is we'll head along and then we'll jump into the fire break that's just north of here, and then we'll sort of drive from east to west along there and see if we can't catch them that way. And we'll also just double check here for footprints. And the sand is nice and soft here. Now, if you joined in this morning, I mentioned that last night we were hearing the lions calling, and it sounded almost like they were right next to us. And Leroy, you were wondering exactly that. How close are we to camp? We're not far at all. A couple of 100 meters, maybe about 300 or 400 meters as the crow flies. Not even actually that much, maybe 300 meters as the crow flies. We're very, very close. We're just on the northern side of where the camp is, opposite that big drainage that runs sort of east to west. Now, Herbert says he hasn't picked up on any tracks yet, and obviously Herbert is very good at what he does, and he spots all sorts of things that none of us see, which is incredible. Now, I also can't see any lion tracks coming out here, and I don't think there's been particularly too many people, so it means that they've been walking in between the block. But let's go back across while I look for the Nkumas and see how Cheetah Plains is treating Byron.
Welcome back, everyone. Sorry, we seem to have lost communication there for a little bit. It's a bit tricky when we do head off quite far from the lodge. We're still on Cheetah Plains, but we're slowly making our way back towards Djuma. Myself and David got out to the clearings and we had a good scan around, but didn't see anything. There were a few impala, and that was it in that area. So not too productive this afternoon in that area. But you never know what else we might bump into on the way back, and then we'll go and drive around Djuma a little bit and just see what we can find. Just having a good look around here again. Make sure that we have checked very carefully. Even the birds seem to be a lot quieter this afternoon for us. There we go. Spotted. Hang on a second, let me jump out and show you this beautiful leopard tortoise. Is it gonna look how quickly it moves? I'm gonna stay. I'm not gonna disturb him. But look how quickly they can move. But beautiful carapace, or the shell. It's known as the carapace. A leopard tortoise. Those beautiful markings. Oh, wow, this one's feeling adventurous. Mountain climbing, log climbing, oh no shame. Look at that, incredible. That's great. Just shows you they can move very quickly when they want to. We move forward a little bit. You might get a better view of it. Still walking through there. There it is. Try that, yeah. And this looks like it is a male, and is the back of the carapace right at the bottom. That little section of shell that comes all the way down around the back is usually the males. The females, and this is for mating purposes, the female shell doesn't go right away around the back. There is a bit of an opening. So this looks like a male. Other way you can tell is if you actually pick the tortoise up, and underneath the shell, the males have a little concave section. It's slightly, basically just concave, and the females are completely flat. And that's again because of the mating. When the male mounts the female, then it's so he doesn't slip off, which is quite important, I suppose. James has asked, can we see the tracks of the tortoise? We can, James. What I'm going to try and see if I can show you. Let's see how close I can get. It's a little tricky with the camera, but hang on, we might get it from here. All right, let me jump off. Yeah, I think we can see it from here. Hang on a second, James. All right, so here are the tracks over here, and this is it's really great. I'm sure you can probably see it. I think from the angle that I parked at, it was all right. And if I can show you, let me use a stick. So with the tortoise track, there are always two parts to the track: the feet on the right hand side, and the feet on the left. So you've got this track of 2 or 4 feet that move along, and what happens is, as the tortoises walk, they actually kick their legs out a little bit like this. So you get these, and you can see these little lines kicking out, and that's from the feet. So as they walk like this. You see that? And they kick their feet out. So it's quite easy to identify tortoise tracks. And then it also gives you a good idea of the size of the tortoise. So you can see, judging by that width of the track, the tortoise is about that big, and you can see that tortoise that's in there now.
Just point them out again. I can get
Okay, sure. Let me just see if can you see where the stick is? That line over there, and that line over there. It's a bit tricky, but like I said, James, who asked to see the tortoise track in harder sand like this, or soil, it's a bit difficult, but I can just see the track crossing the road over here. In soft sand, it's obviously a bit easier to see the tortoise track. I hope you got to see that a little bit. It's a nice surprise. Leopard tortoise, they've become a lot more active now because of all the rain that we've had. So I think yesterday we saw two. We saw a leopard tortoise and we saw a Speaks hingeback tortoise. Ron has asked. No, Ron, they don't. No, Ron, they so we lost picture there for a second. Ron, they definitely don't hoist their prey. Leopard tortoises feed on plant vegetation, not like the other leopards we know, which put their kills into a tree. Usually, they hoist their kills. Okay, we're going to head back towards Djuma. While I do that, I think Taylor is with the lions.
We managed to relocate on the lions thanks to Herbie. They weren't too far away from the kill. They probably about 80 or so meters east from where they were, but they're in the middle of this block. They're sitting right on the drainage line, and it is very thick. Unfortunately, cannot get in there. The lions are all spread out. Let's see, Herbie's trying to go through. Let's see if he gets a better gap. Okay, fantastic. Herbie's given me the signal. You can see where he is over there. He said he's found another little gap for us, which is fantastic. Sorry, I'm trying to pick up a little present that I've got for you, but I'm not going to show you just yet, so I have to hide it away from you. Here's one of the males. I can't tell you which male it is just yet, but it's either Tinyo or Mfumo. And what we'll do is, it's going to take some serious off-roading to get to the other side. So we will go across to that side in a moment. But it's very, 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 very tight over here. And the reason why they did move across right to this drainage is because where they were this morning, there was very little shade. Yeah, it's just checking. I thought I heard something, but it's nothing. I think it's just the branches cracking around as Herbie moves. So this was a very good spot. You can see there's lots of big trees covering around here. and providing a little bit of shade. And of course, the closer you go to the drainage lines, the cooler it gets. So it's a very clever strategy that the lions have taken. But the only thing is that it means that we can't see them that well for now. But we'll go around and try and have another look. You can see some of the cubs waking up, but the rest of the pride seem to be sleeping hard. Is that thunder? I thought I heard a rumble of thunder in the very far distance. I wonder if it could have been. That would be really nice, wouldn't it? But it's stopped now, but I'll keep listening out for it. It's starting to get, the clouds are sort of coming in again. You can see it's a little bit hazy. I'm really, really hoping that we do get some more rain this evening. Right, I think let's try and go around. Herbie's now come back across and he found the spot. I think let's take his cue and let's try going across there. There's lots of sickle bush around, I'm afraid, which is not the greatest of my friends. And the reason being is because they've got massive thorns on them and they puncture tires. I'm going to have to do a 67-point turn over here though. I do apologize if I go a little bit quiet. It's going to take some skill to get around here. Perhaps it's actually not that bad. Right, let's go in. Let's see, it seems like Herbie has found a little spot to cross. Okay, I took a wrong turn. We're going to have to go through here and then around. And we found a gap. Just unfortunately, there's no gap for me right now. Just be careful of this nasty plant. We've got ourselves a buffalo thorn that we're going to try and not get VM attached to. Waving bye to Herbie. He's such a good man. Always helping us out and always finding us so many different animals. He really is such a great help. Okay, well, we can go down here. Across this section. Right, now we're going to have to do a little bit of ducking. VM, are you alright here? You just have to go slowly so we can lift the tree over the top of the big aerial that pokes out at the back. You good there? Sorry, it's a heavy one. Still good? There we go. That wasn't too bad. Now we've just got to find a spot where we can look across. Ah, this seems to be much better. We go forward. Very slowly. Hi, Nkahumas. How's that for you, VM? Good? There we go. Now you can actually see them all scattered around and about, and it wasn't too bad, the off-roading we had to do. Just a few little shrubs in the way. Well, this is much better. I mean, you could barely see them from the side that we were on. And thankfully, the drainage wasn't too steep and we were able to cross. That's normally the problem, is that on the other side of the drainage line there'll be a perfect view, but it will take you about 16 hours to get around and to get back into that sighting again. So luckily it was just a couple of minutes. Hello, little ones. They're all starting to get very restless now, sitting up, grooming themselves, biting each other. This one's coming down to investigate, go for a little walkabout. I'm going to bite you on your rump. Those two having a bit of a quarrel. They're getting rougher and rougher now. Look at that one scratching its nails on the tree. And I shall pass the lovely comments you're all saying, sort of saying well done to Herbert. I'll make sure that he hears from all of you. I'm sure he appreciates that. He really is, he's great. He helps us out so much. He is incredible to go on walks with. You can see that little one though, of course, scratching its nails, copying what the adults do. And we know how important it is to strengthen the tendons in the claws, as well as to get rid of all the old nail sheath. And remember, as these cubs are growing, they're growing very quickly, and so will all the body parts and the nails and things like that. So it's important that they do that, to get rid of the old sheath and let the new nail sheath come through. but having a very relaxed Wednesday. That one's trapped. Oh, you got out, well done. Now, I suspect that payback is going to happen. Oh, one of the lionesses is up and giving a little bit of a cough. Hello, girl. Now using the luxury facilities as always. No one else seems to be waking up with the adults. It's just the one lioness and then of course all the little cubs. They don't seem to be able to lie still for very long anyway. They're a bit like me. We can be quiet. Like I always say, let's be quiet for a little bit, and then I try my absolute best. But after about a few seconds, I really need to talk again. So you can imagine my poor mother growing up, and my dad. The lioness, oh, no, just getting a better spot. And back to sleep. Now this looks like the mother of the oldest cubs. Remember we were chatting about how to identify the different lionesses, and Jamie gave me the tip that the adult of the mother, of the two oldest cubs seems to have a very hairy chin. And you saw when we were zoomed in there, very, very fluffy chin indeed compared to the other lions. Here one of the oldest cubs are going over to say hello, so there we go. I think that confirms that that's Mom. Now, Alex, you're wondering who is the oldest lion in this pride. I'm not actually 100% sure of the ages of the lionesses. I reckon the mother of the oldest cubs is probably the oldest one, just by looking at her. She's quite large and she looks well mature, but she doesn't look particularly old. I haven't seen on any of their canines that they are sort of worn down quite heavily. So I reckon that the lionesses, besides sort of the youngest Nkahuma is only about 3 or so. I reckon the others are anywhere between about 6 and 8 years old, somewhere around there. But perhaps I think a lot of you watching the show know the Nkahuma story a lot better than I do. So maybe you could help me out here. And does anybody know when each of the lionesses were born, so we can try and get an idea of how old they are, so I can add it to my ever-growing information on the Nkahumas, like you've seen my page of lions. And it's nice to add those ages in there so I never forget them. Look at these ones playing around now on this termite mound. You have gone the difficult route around. Let's see if you can climb up. Oh, it's slippery. Remember when you watched me yesterday afternoon climb to the top of the termite mound? Like I said, with all the rain, the soil is a lot softer than what it normally is. You can see it there, making it quite difficult for these youngsters to climb up. But good job, well done. That could have ended worse. You could have rolled all the way down, which would have been entertaining to watch. These two are going to have a little play now. Now those buffalo aren't too far away from these lions, but they're going in the opposite direction. But we know that the Nkahumas are good at playing catch-up. And along this drainage line, we often see the Bboys, the lone buffalo bulls, roaming around here. And now especially that there's no more grass in the open areas, we're going to start to see all the animals coming back into the thicker parts of the vegetation to try and look for grass that hasn't been eaten, and then of course to look for all these new leaves which are coming through. That's nice. Instead of biting each other, you're showing some affection for a change. And that little cub looks like it's enjoying that. Look at them. There we go, going to annoy the adults. Now we know what this means, but hopefully They will get up and start to do something in a little bit. It's cooling down. But let's go back across to Byron, who has got the favorite food of the Nkuhumas.
Yeah, that's right, Taylor. I think the last few days especially, the lions have been loving the buffalo. A nice little herd, a small group, but they've been quite widely spread, these buffalo. So possibly one big herd that is spread out over this area and that maybe just looking for food. Nice to see them, some males and a lot of females in this herd. Look at them looking at us. You can see some of the younger buffalo seem to be almost reddish in color. Have a look at that. That's a young one there too. Slightly reddish brown, and the adults are much darker black coloration. And that's just with age. The older they get, they do tend to turn a bit darker. And a big welcome to Windsor Oaks Elementary School, Mrs. Hubble's class. I know we tried to say hello to you earlier and you were having a bit of problems. It's lovely to have you little kids with us. Please ask Mrs. Hubble to send us your questions, and myself and Taylor will happily answer them for you. So we've got some buffalo here, everyone. I know that you've just joined us. And Taylor said earlier that these are the favorite food for the lions, and they have been for the last few days. They've been hunting and a lot of buffalo and feeding on quite a few buffalo. So they're very full and happy at the moment. The lions, the buffalo aren't as happy. We might be able to hear some birds flying over us. They've just stopped. They are called hardy daws. Very funny name, the hardy daw. And they've got a very loud call. They've just stopped now, but you could hear them. And they've flown past us. I wish I could do the call for you, but I don't think I can. And I really don't think I can do a hardy daw call. I've tried my best to do some of the calls for everybody, of some of the birds, and some of the bird calls are a bit easier to mimic, but hardy daw, very difficult. So little Ariana has asked, how big are these buffalo? So Ariana, it's difficult to say. If you know how big cows are, they're about the same size as a cow. So the cows that you get all over on farms and that, the buffalo is about the same size. It would be the best way to describe it. I'm sure you've seen some cows around, and I think if you had to stand next to one, you'd probably, and I'm not too sure how tall you are, but I think a 5 or 6 year old would probably be as tall as maybe that one's shoulder. So not quite the top of the back, but the shoulder of the buffalo. Let me see if I can. If I point, you'd probably be about that tall. So just to give you a size reference, maybe that makes it easier to understand. So Jack has asked us, do the buffalo eat other animals? No, Jack, they don't. The buffalo are what we call herbivores, which means they only eat plant material, so grass, and occasionally, so not often, They prefer feeding on grass, but sometimes they also eat the leaves off of the trees. And that is mainly because there might not be a lot of grass around. At the moment, there's very little grass, so the buffalo will feed on some of the leaves off trees too. But they definitely do not eat other animals, not at all. They're just moving off, and I think we're going to do the same thing and carry on and see what else we can find. So Alan has asked us a question. Alan would like to know, why do the buffalo seem worried about predators? And oh, sorry, Alan, you asked why don't they seem worried about predators? Well, at the moment, you see, they're always aware and always alert. They're very careful, and they'll always look out for predators. But at the moment, there aren't any around them. So it looks like they're not worried, but they're still very careful, and they will still scan the area very carefully to see if there are predators around. They'll always use their sense of smell, which is very good, and they'll listen carefully. But at the moment, there are no predators around, so there's no danger for those buffalo. So they're happy with moving around and looking for food, and maybe later some water. So Jake has asked, where do the buffalo go to take shelter out of the storm if it rains? So Jake, all these animals, they don't necessarily take shelter. What they do is they still carry on moving around. They may move under some trees if the storm is really, really bad. The animals, you know, they adapt to the weather conditions depending on what it is, if it's really hot, if it's cold, if it's raining, and the buffalo generally probably just move into some thicker bush, so that the trees can give them a bit of cover. Oh, a little squirrel, everyone. Let's see if we can see it. Oh, just ran across the road. You did see it jump on there, the little squirrel, and that is called a tree squirrel. And it's just moved behind the tree. Now they're very shy. Hang on, he's still climbing up. I caught a glimpse of him again. He's got a little bit higher. Let's see if we can't find him for you. Just looking carefully now. See, they're very, very shy, the little squirrels. Ah, there he is. He's sitting in the middle of the screen now. There we go. Look at that. He's looking at us. Well done. Well done, Dave. Dave's our cameraman, everyone. And isn't it amazing how you can find these little things in the trees, these little squirrels, little birds. And this squirrel is in a very thorny tree. Can you see those sharp thorns behind it? And it doesn't bother the squirrel. The squirrel can climb very, very well. So it can get into that thorny tree very easily. And it's probably safe there because nothing else can get in there very easily to catch the squirrel. Isn't that cute? Looks like he's breathing very quickly. That's nice, and we always say it's so important to also appreciate the little animals that we get out here. It's not always about the big buffalo or the big elephant. It's very, very quiet and peaceful here now. We're going to leave the little squirrel There he moves. Nice of him to pose for us. So, for the little kids who are watching, we are completely live. So what we are seeing now, you are seeing back in your classroom. And this is what you can probably expect if you ever come on a safari, maybe with your parents one day. We've got to drive around and we look very, very carefully for these animals to try and show them to you. Look at this tree that's fallen over next to us, and that is from an elephant. A big elephant has probably come through. He's tried to feed on the leaves or the branches. That's what elephants like to eat, and he's pushed it right over into the road. We sometimes call it an elephant roadblock. It stops us from moving through the road easily. And have a look here. We've got some beautiful impala. That's a lovely impala antelope. They look probably similar to deer that you have back home, but they are not deer at all. They are called antelope, and this is known as the impala. And the impala are very, very successful in this area. There are a lot of impala everywhere. But what that means is that the predators like the impala, so lions and leopards, and especially leopards, like to catch and eat impala because it's a perfect size for them for a good meal. There you can see some moving through the back. They are very beautiful little animals, very graceful and elegant. And they can jump very, very well, and they're very fast runners. So they can jump amazingly well. Let's see what else we can find. Nice to see those impala. Beautiful antelope. Got a few flies around at the moment. We had a big storm the other night, everyone, and because of all that rain, a lot more insects are around. So we've got the flies and everything, some dung beetles too. Maybe we can find one for you at some point. We're going to carry on looking for some interesting animals. While I do that, Taylor has got a big predator to show you.
Find. Isn't this lovely? These beautiful big kitty cats. You can see they are fast asleep. Now remember, you're welcome to ask questions, so I'm listening out and awaiting any of your questions that you'd like to ask me. But you can see, like I said, they're fast asleep, and that one has got an elephant dung pillow. That looks very comfortable, don't you think? I wonder if you had to go home and ask your Mum, can I please have a pillow stuffed full of elephant dung? I wonder what her response would be, because apparently out here in the African bush, it seems to be the favorite pillow for lots of different animals, and in particular, the lions. Isn't this lovely? But the little cubs were just about to wake up, but now it looks like they're going back to sleep again. And look at that little one at the back who's got a stick. That is a lion's favorite chew toy after a buffalo's tail. They prefer to play with one of those. Now, oh my goodness. Look at you chewing on that stick, and it probably feels quite nice to chew on that stick. You know what it's like when your teeth are growing, how sometimes they can get a little bit sore, but when you chew something, well, then it feels so nice. And it's exactly the same thing with the lions and all the different animals that like to chew, so from the dogs and all sorts of things. Ariana, you want to know what do lions eat? I'm going to actually show you. VM, can you see the impala straight ahead of us? Ariana, have a look at this. No, we're just trying to find them very quickly. There's impala. Can you see that, Ariana? I know it's a bit difficult to see, but that is indeed an impala, which is a type of antelope, and I believe you just saw one with Byron, so you probably got a better look now. Lions will eat almost anything. They only eat meat, though. They don't eat any grass or any leaves like a cow or sheep would eat. And if those impala get too close, well, the lions may try and hunt one of them for something to eat. Remember, as sad as what it may be, it's very important that those little cubs get some food too, so they can grow big and strong and be like their mothers and their fathers. So that's very important. But their favorite food is actually buffalo, the African buffalo. Now, Alan, you want to know how much do lions sleep? Lions can sleep for up to 20 hours. Can you imagine sleeping for that long? I don't know if I could. I think I would wake up more tired than what I was when I went to sleep. And the reason why they have to sleep so much, Alan, is because they use a lot of energy when they have to go out and catch their food, when they have to catch the buffaloes or the impala or the giraffe or whatever they may be eating. It's very important that they've got enough energy stored so that they can attempt to get some dinner or some breakfast. You can see, though, the adults not interested just yet in waking up. They are fast asleep. So there's the big male lion lying at the back. You can see his mane on the right-hand side of the screen. So that's how you tell the difference between a male and a female lion, a boy and a girl. It's obviously the big boys have got the very hairy heads. And, of course, the lovely ladies, well, they don't have any, or not a big mane. They've got hair, of course, but not as much as the boys do. It's like your dad. You know, your dad has to shave every morning. Otherwise, he grows all that hair on his face. The lions, unfortunately, well, they don't shave. Otherwise, they'd look like the girls. You can see another little cub there. What have you found, or are you just cleaning yourself? I think this cub is just having a bath. Hello, little one. Looking at us, hiding behind the tree. Now, no one has spotted the impala just yet, and they're not far away. Maybe the impala have spotted the lions, but if the impala do see the lions, I think she's listening to me now and possibly trying to smell. See how she's wiggling her nose? She's trying to breathe in the scents. And if there is a little bit of wind going down towards her, she's going to smell those lions and she's going to start barking. Like I said, it almost sounds like a dog. She'll snort, make big snorting noises. It's quite a strange noise. Hopefully we'll be able to hear it. And then they're probably going to run away from these lions. And this little one is saying, "Wake up, Mom. I'm hungry." Or, "I want to go to the shops." No, just hungry. Now, these older cubs shouldn't even be drinking milk anymore. They're getting to their maximum age, so they're getting to the point where mom is not making any milk for the babies. So they're actually starting, or they have been eating solids for quite some time. Listen, listen, listen to the impala. Now, Seth, you want to know how fast can lions run? Just quickly looking, this male lion, I think, heard those impala alarm calling. Maybe turn your volume up. Can you hear that? I'll answer your question now, Seth. Can you hear the snorting? It almost sounds like somebody trying to blow their nose. It's a little bit far. They're not calling very loudly. Now, because the impala know that the lions are here, the lions will have no chance in catching them. They are very good runners and very good jumpers. They're much quicker than the lions. So the lions can probably get to a speed of about 70 kilometers an hour, but they can't keep that up for very fast. Their initial speed is the fastest, and then they start to slow down. Now I said that the lions only eat meat, and then this one looked like it had a little bite of those leaves, but don't worry, it didn't actually eat any of those leaves. Now this male lion is known as tinyo. It's a very hard word to say, but it means tooth. Jack, you want to know if lions hibernate? No, they don't. They move around all the time. They don't need to hibernate at all. They've got those lovely big warm coats, and of course the food, their food that they eat is always around. So there's no need for them to hibernate. But he was very sneaky. I didn't even know he was sitting there. And I think that's who the impala saw first, because he's much closer than the rest of the pride. Look at his big mane now. You can really see that he's a boy. Ariana, you would like to know how much do the cubs play? They play a lot whenever they get an opportunity to. They don't have to sleep as much as the adults do because they're not hunting any of their food. They're relying on mom and dad to do all the hard work for them. So they have all this extra energy which they're able to use. Oh, look at that big yawn. Did you see how big his teeth were? So they probably keep playing throughout the day. Play a little bit, then have a sleep and play again and have another little nap and do all those things the entire day. Now, I'm hoping what's going to happen, this is going to be quite exciting, is if this male lion, this boy lion, decides to walk past the vehicle, which I think he may if he heads back towards the rest of the pride. Let's see what he does, though. You can see how he's sticking his tongue out. He's very itchy. And you know when you rub your dog's tummy and you find the right spot that's itchy, how they sort of kick their legs? That's exactly the same thing as to what this lion is doing with his tongue. Another big yawn. Wow, you can almost see down his throat. Mrs. Sawyer, you're wondering why he keeps sticking his tongue out? It's just because he's found sort of a spot that is probably a little bit ticklish or feels quite good. Like I said, it's very much like when you scratch your dog's tummy and you find the spot that they like the most, and then they seem to move their legs around a little bit. It's sort of the same thing. And she's just hit the spot, and he's finally hitting that itch that has probably been quite itchy for quite some time now. There we go. He's scratching his elbow. And the reason why he's so itchy is because he's got a skin condition. So he's got something wrong with him. Not anything too bad though, called mange. And that is a little insect, like a little parasite that eats and feeds on the hair. And then they get the sort of black markings. They almost lose their hair a little bit. You can see on his right shoulder, our left-hand side of the screen, he's missing some hair. There you go, you can see it now. It seems as though Byron has found something interesting for you. Let's go across and see what he's got.
Look at this, everybody. We found something very, very interesting. And I'm going to just crouch down and show you. Can you see what this is? Can all of you see? I'm going to pick it up and show you. Look at that. Just make sure there are no little scorpions in there. And this is a giant land snail shell. Isn't this incredible? This is a massive, massive snail. And can you believe that we find these big snails all the way out here in Africa, in the bush, in the middle of nowhere? And look how big they get. See the beautiful spirals on the shell? And when this one is dead, unfortunately, possibly died during the dry season, maybe something ate it, and all that's left is the shell. But this would have been a fully grown giant land snail, so it got to live out its whole life, which is great. But isn't that fascinating that you can find this giant land snail all the way out here? And maybe some other creatures would use the shell later on, possibly some spiders or scorpion or anything to hide in there too. So this is really, really fascinating. One of the largest snails or land snails in the world, which is incredible. I'm going to put this back over here. I found something else very interesting that I'd like to show you. Just have a look, follow me over here. Can you see, I've got this little white patch right around here. And this is very interesting. This has been created by an animal called a civet. And I'm going to show you a picture soon, but what I want to show you is what all of this white stuff is. So what the civet has done is this is probably a way of marking its territory, so the area that it lives in. But what this is actually the shells of millipedes, little creatures about this big that walk along the ground, and we'll see if we can't find some for you. There are a lot around at the moment because of all the rain that we've had. And a millipede has a very, they look almost like worms, but they've got hundreds of legs that run underneath their body that move together as they're walking. They're round in shape. They're completely black, and then the hard shell is what we are seeing here. And what has happened is these civets eat the millipedes, and they leave the shell behind, and after a while the shells then turn white, just like that snail shell over there. And I'm going to show you some pieces here quickly, just to show you what it looks like. There we go. Going to come a little bit closer. Can you see that? Yep. There we go. Look at these pieces of shell that the civet has eaten. So that's a lot of millipedes that the civets managed to find and eat. And then they use that, it's called a midden. It is where they drop the dung, and that is then to mark their territory or their home that they live. So he will always use that spot. This is very interesting. Let me show you what a civet looks like. They're very, very beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful little animals. Let me just show you here quickly. Have a look. I've got my mammals book, and that is a civet. Look at that. It looks almost like a cat, but it's not a cat. It's in a different family completely, and we call that the African civet. Very, very beautiful little animal. And they are mainly nocturnal, so we don't often see them during the day. Nocturnal means that they only come out at night. So it's really, really great to see an area where a civet probably comes every day and uses the spot. So maybe we should try one evening coming and sitting here to see if we can't find it. But isn't that interesting? It's amazing the little things that also are happening around us all the time. Let me just jump back in here quickly. And there we go. So it's nice to find little things like this, little clues of other animals that are around. We're going to see if we can find some live animals now. Taylor is still sitting with those big, beautiful cats.
Look what VM found on his leg. It's a caterpillar of some sort. Now I'm going to use something just to keep him where I want him to go. Sorry, I'm in the way there. He was just about to run away. Come back so we can see you. I'm being very gentle with him. And isn't this a beautiful caterpillar? There we go. Now you're going to see it come towards us. Now I think it's either from a butterfly or a moth. I'm not sure which one. But look at those black little hairs that it has on its back. Now the reason why I didn't want to touch it is because often when the caterpillars have the little bristles on its back, the little hairs on its back, they can make you itch. They will use it as a defense mechanism. They become detachable, so they become loose, and then they get stuck on you. But look at those beautiful colors. Even the little red legs that you occasionally see, the black, it almost looks like it's got little blue. And of course, look at the grey fluffy hair. It must be an old caterpillar then if it's already gone grey. Now be careful, little one. I'm just going to make sure that it doesn't decide to fall off because I don't want it to. No, you have to go back that way. I'm just encouraging it just to stay on a level. Otherwise, I don't know what to do with it. And I will let it go. I don't know how it got in here in the first place. VM, were you climbing trees today? VM says he wasn't climbing trees, so I wonder where this little chap came from. Isn't that lovely though? Hey, how cool is that? But I think let's have another look at the lions. They seem to all be starting to wake up now. I'm going to keep watching our little friend over here. Ooh, this is a log climbing lion. Miss Williams, good afternoon to you. Are you wondering how long do the lion cubs stay with their parents? It depends on if they are a boy or a girl. If they're a boy, unfortunately they're going to be kicked out of the pride at about 2.5 years or so, sometimes even a little bit earlier. But if you're a girl, if you're the female, they can carry on and live with the pride. So the pride is mainly made up of females, and they tend to stay together for life, and the males, unfortunately, they come and go. And we can see them all starting to wake up. I'm just checking in the distance. Remember, we had those impala alarm calling. They have now run away and disappeared, and it's starting to cool down nicely. Isn't that lovely? And we know what that means. When the weather gets cooler, the lions get more active, so they get more energy. You can see one of the lionesses. So the proper name for a girl lion is a lioness. And I want you to say that all to your teacher. I'm going to count to 3, and then you're all going to shout lioness. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. I think you guys shouted so loud I could hear you from South Africa. Sorry, I'm also trying to control my friend the caterpillar who I want to place on a tree. I'm just watching it. Look at this little one now. Trying to stalk, learning to stalk. So speaking of my friend the caterpillar, I know that Malichi and Jace, we're just trying to get off here. Hang on, I'm trying to make it... Get off this piece of cardboard. This is my piece of cardboard. Now, you're wondering, what does this caterpillar eat? Well, it eats leaves. I'm not sure which leaf it eats, though. And that's why I want to be careful where I put it, because I wanted to find the right food source. So you'll see me there. I just don't want it to disappear. No. You have to come back. No, don't go on the cardboard. You have to stay here. So I'm not sure. It depends on, of course, the butterfly or moth species, whichever one it may be. But they'll definitely eat leaves. There's so many different trees out here. It could really be anything. But I've never seen anything like this before. This is the first time I've seen this beautiful caterpillar. Now, unfortunately, it's time for all of you at Windsor Oaks Elementary to leave us, but I hope you enjoyed this afternoon, and we hope to hear from you soon. So from myself and Byron and David and VM, we hope you have a lovely day and enjoy the rest of school, and hopefully we'll catch you again soon. Right, we're going to go back across to Byron though, who's got a batelier.
Look at this beautiful batelier sitting on the tree stump right up or out in the open. Oh, that could possibly mean it getting ready to fly. Maybe not. It might sit there. It's quite comfortable. We're in the area not too far from where that buffalo carcass was that Taylor had yesterday afternoon. There's not much left there. The smell is just terrible at the moment. There are still a few vultures around the area, and they are sitting up in the trees. You'll see just off to the left. There we go. And that batelier has just taken off. So the vultures just sitting up there. I think because it's a much cooler day, and I actually just want to have a look. That one at the top looks interesting. Hang on. Oh, it is. It's a big vulture. The two bottom ones are white-backed vultures, and that big one at the top is the lappet-faced vulture. And that's what he thinks of us. There it goes. Very, very big vulture. It still looks like a youngish one. but they've got the most powerful beaks out of the vultures. See if I can just show you a picture of an adult quickly. Give me a second. And yeah, so it's nice to see the vulture still around. The reason that Bateleur was around here too is because the Bateleur is also a scavenging bird. It will also try and get some food from kills, and usually Bateleurs are one of the birds that get to the kills the quickest. They'll feed and try and feed quickly before these other big vultures, or before the big vultures rather, arrive, because those vultures will usually chase those birds away. So Bateleur and tawny eagles, so they are also birds that will scavenge and feed off carcasses. Just find a picture of these vultures for you quickly. Here we go. You know what, where is that vulture now? I think it's just flown off. You know what, I think I made a mistake. I think that was actually a white-headed vulture. And I'll show you why. Give me a second, so let me show you why. Yeah, I think it was a white-headed vulture. So if we have a look here quickly, just at the top, these are the white-backed vultures. Very easy to identify with that white marking on the back and the grey around the head with the black face. Then we do get a few other species around here, and if you look further down, these two at the bottom, look at that, the leopard-faced over there and the white-backed vulture. But both of these species have got very bald heads. The adult leopard-faced vulture has a very red neck and red face. You see that? But very bare around the back and little white feathers over there. Whereas if you look at the white-headed vulture, and I haven't seen one of these for quite some time, also very big head, but you see bald at the back, also white feathers around the neck, not as red or not nearly as red as the leopard-faced, but the beak is also very large, and these two are probably some of the largest vultures around here, and that was the white-backed vulture that we saw. So a different vulture. I haven't seen one of them for quite some time. That was really, really interesting. So sorry, not a leopard-faced, it was the white-backed vulture. And occasionally you can get vultures coming in from quite a distance away to feed at these carcasses. They'll see all the vulture activity, and some of these vultures, their eyesight is incredible. And they can see something about the size of an A4 piece of paper from about 2 to 2.5 kilometers away. So what's that, about kilometers, 1.6 miles? No, a mile is 1.6 kilometers. So that, to give you an idea, so 2 kilometers, which is almost 2 miles, very, very long distance away. Their eyesight is incredible. So what they'll do is they'll follow each other and come down to the carcasses. So Junebug from Texas has asked us, are vultures predators? So no, they're not birds. Well, they're not predators, Junebug, in that sense. But they feed on carrion, so they are scavengers. They are considered to be scavengers as opposed to predators. They don't hunt for themselves. They will feed on dead animals. So we consider them to be scavengers, not predators. We're going to be leaving these vultures. They seem to be resting quite nicely in the trees. Taylor's still got a friend on the bonnet, I believe, and the lions.
I have released Mr. or Miss Caterpillar. I put it on a buffalo thorn, and well, it seems to be enjoying it. You can see those mouth parts moving now. Now we'll see if it's going to eat this leaf. Like I said, I'm uncertain as to what species of butterfly or moth this comes from. It's quite interesting. I think it could be from a butterfly, but I'm also just guessing now. I've never seen anything like this before. It is so beautiful. Look at those little legs. That is so stunning. Oh my goodness, this is now where I wish I was also taking photos. I think I'm going to have to take 1 or 2 photos, or even better, perhaps you can take some screenshots for me and share them with me on Twitter, or you can email them to questions@wildearth.tv, and then I'll be able to see them. Oh, another little fly just landed. I don't know if you saw the fly land on the bottom left of the screen. This is so cool. Look at this. This is amazing. Sorry, lions. You guys are going to have to wake up. Look at it moving around there. It seems as though it's eating the plant. There's another little fly. How cool is that? Going to actually investigate and see what the caterpillar is up to. That is beautiful. Now, why weren't you posing like this for me just now? Yeah, munching, and it does seem to be eating, doesn't it? Okay, caterpillar, that was so beautiful. You can see it there, but let's go back and have a look at the lions, who are now really starting to wake up quite a bit. This one's going on an adventure in the drainage line. Be careful you don't get lost. Angela, thank you so much for your comments. You've helped me out quite a bit. You told me that the oldest lion is 9 years, and that's the lioness that's got the black nose, and she's also got a broken canine. I must admit, I didn't actually notice any of them had got broken canines, but that's something that I'm definitely going to keep an eye out for next time. Thank you so much for that. That is going in the notebook, of course. Now, oh wow. So that's quite interesting. So the mother of the oldest cubs, who's got the very fluffy chin and the spotted nose, she's 5 years old. Amber Eyes is apparently 7 years old, and of course the youngest in Kahuma is 3. Thank you so much for all that wonderful information. It's really come in handy, and I will jot those ages down as soon as I get a minute. But that is quite spectacular. Now I'm watching poor Mike is trying to navigate through along this drainage line. It's quite treacherous, but he's doing a sterling job, and I'm sure it's providing lots of entertainment for his guests. Now you can see the cubs staring over in the distance at the branches just cracking as he makes his way into the sighting. Now it's going to get darker very quickly tonight because there is so much cloud cover, and unfortunately I don't have the infrared in jigger. So let's hope that they only go on a hunt tomorrow morning so we can watch it. But for the moment, the adults are still sleeping. There's just one lioness that's got her head up, just having a look around, while, of course, the little cubs bite each other and pull each other's tails. Here we go, swiping back. The little ones are really starting to get quite feisty now. And that's what I keep saying, is that I love these personalities that they've developed, all becoming their own, not just little cuddly cubs anymore. But we saw it this morning when they were at the carcass, how the smallest of the cubs, the teddy bear cubs, are indeed the feistiest. And they were growling and sort of slapping back with their paws at all the adults that gave them any grief, which is very brave. But they're quite gentle with each other. Now, Zach, you're wondering what the reaction would be of the lions if someone were to get out of their vehicle. So if I had to get out of the vehicle from where I am now, I think that these lions would probably run away from me. The reason why I say this is because I'm on higher ground, and there's also a drainage line between myself and the lions, so they have got an opportunity to move away. I haven't cornered them in, even though the vegetation is quite thick. Remember, those cubs are old enough to move away. If they were little cubs, so if they were only a month or 2 old, and still a little bit wobbly on the feet, well, then I'd be in a lot of trouble. The lionesses wouldn't stand for that. And of course, if they were on a kill, well, then I'm really asking for trouble. They might move off. I know that in some cultures, especially in the Kenya, the Maasais, they often chase lions off their kill and will cut themselves a small section of meat and then go back, and that's one of the techniques that they use to get food. Oh wow, well spotted. My favorite little bird, the Cape glossy starling, watching very carefully, wondering what the lions are about. Maybe it spotted the caterpillar, and that's what it perhaps was after. No, I don't think so. I think it was a bit far away, but that would have been quite funny and very unfortunate for our friend the caterpillar if that starling swooped down to come and bite it and eat it for dinner. They're having a good groom, the little cubs. Very busy today. But we're going to unfortunately have to leave these lions soon, because I know that there are lots and lots of vehicles that want to come and see these beautiful cubs, and we're quite limited to how many vehicles we can have in this sighting, because it's very sort of cramped here with the drainage line. It's going to be quite tough to try and cycle all the rangers through before it's too dark to view the Nkuhumas. So we're going to sit here for a minute or two longer, and then we're going to have to say goodbye. I actually think that this might be a good enough time to leave, because I know poor old Mike is trying to get into the sighting desperately, and I think that we could have the best spot. And I see that he's got a vehicle full of happy guests. Perhaps we should be very kind and let him come and take my spot. So I think let's go all the way back across to Cheetah Plains and go back to Byron.
Taylor's definitely had a lion day. She's spent most of the day with those lions, while I've been driving around searching for any sign of leopard, and we just haven't had any luck. But again, still the reports are Karula's still south of our boundary, I believe, with the two cubs. They had a kill, so I think that's why they've stayed down there. And then there was Tingana, the big male leopard that was found yesterday or the day before, who also had a kill, but just to the east of our boundary. So that's why those animals haven't been around. But it's not to say that there aren't a leopard around here. You know, what's possibly happened is during that storm, maybe there was a leopard that killed an impala, or made a kill, any kill. They like to hunt in the rain. It's easier for them to hunt, and then because of that, they're probably hiding somewhere. And because they're not walking around, we haven't seen any fresh tracks, because there's no need for them to leave a carcass until they finished it. So that could possibly have happened, and then what happens is the rain washed away all the tracks from where the leopard made the kill and moved into a thicket. So then we just don't know where they are. This is a nice road. I don't think I've been on this road before. Don't recognize it. A lot of little pans and mud wallows all over here. You see this just off to our right. And why that is interesting is because a lot of these animals, like the predators, can now drink anywhere. There's water all over, little pools that they're able to drink from, so they don't have to cover as large a distance to look for water. So if they've got a kill nearby, they can go to these little water holes, get water, and return to the kill again. So Cheryl from Oregon would like to know, is there anything that will alarm call at night to warn other animals of predators? Well, Cheryl, all these antelope and that, all the antelope species, especially impala, those types of antelope, they never really sleep. They do rest, and they do generally look for clearings for safety where they can keep an eye out for predators. Those animals still alarm call at night. If there are predators around or they're being hunted, they will still alarm call. In terms of birds, maybe owls, but not necessarily. And you would get, trying to think, the water thickneys or spotted thickneys. I'll try to show you a picture of them quickly. Just find them in my book. Give me a second. They are nocturnal birds, and I know for a fact that those thickneys do alarm call at predators if they are walking close by, so they may alert other animals. So these two birds down here, the water thickney and the spotted thickney over there, they are nocturnal. You can see those very large eyes. Most nocturnal birds have got very, very big eyes, so that they're able to see better at night. And these types of birds would alarm call if a predator had to walk nearby. But you must remember, all those other antelope species are still aware and still careful, and they are then looking around for predators, and they will alarm call and alert each other if there are any predators around. So they do still alarm call at night. Starting to lose a little bit of light. No sunset this afternoon. It's been overcast, so we didn't have a sunset at all. It's probably going to get a lot darker a lot quicker because of the clouds, the cloud cover. This is quite a nice area. I haven't driven here before. I just haven't been along this road. There's still a few roads around this area that I haven't been on. Haven't been driving here for that long, so when I first started Wild Earth last year, then did a stint here in June, and now this little stint for 2 or 3 weeks, and then I'm back again in November for about 2 weeks, just over 2 weeks. Really great. And very different guiding to what I'm used to, because we've got so many viewers from all over the world. Usually I'm used to having the guests on the vehicle with me and interacting with them. Okay, we're going to keep searching these areas for any signs of any animals for now. We haven't seen too much for the last little while. Taylor's still with those lions. Let's see what they're up to.
I've got fantastic news. Some of the lions sort of spread themselves out a little bit and opened up another spot for a vehicle to come in. Remember, I said we were limited because of the area that they were sitting. We could only fit 2 vehicles. But now that they seem to be up and moving away, perhaps they're going to go back out to the open, maybe have a drink of water again. No, but before we do, we're going to have a quick climb of the tree. They're really getting quite talented now with going up and down the trees. I'm very impressed at their tree climbing skills. I think that they could even give perhaps James a run for their money. I wonder. I think James is pretty well adapted in the tree. He seems to be more arboreal than he is terrestrial. Now I'm hoping that these lions don't go too far south in the drainage, otherwise we're never going to get a view with them. Let's keep our fingers crossed that they move further east back towards where that kill was, because there's a nice open area. Oh, look at this little cub biting this plant. Now, this is an interesting plant. It's called mother-in-law's tongue. Can you see it there? And it's quite spiky, and I'm sure you're thinking that is a strange common name for a plant, and the reason why it gets that name is because of the very sharp point that it has on the tip of the plant. I suppose sharp and spiky sometimes, like mother-in-laws can be. Not all of them though. I'm sure there's lots of good ones out there. And Lioness has gone back for a little siesta. You can hear the wood hoopoes as well calling in the distance. No, of course it's stopped calling now. Every time I point out the hoopoes, they never want to carry on. There we go, now you can hear it. It's actually just jumped up onto the top of the tree. Let's see if we can have a little look. You go straight in, there it is. Beautiful red bill, or orangey red bill, the green wood hoopoo. Where's the rest of your family? It's just the one now. Obviously the light is fading quite a bit. Off it goes. We have to turn the ISO right up to try and get enough light. But I think what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to venture back across this drainage line to get to the other side, of course, and go around and see if we can reposition. Let's try and do that. Right, VM, how am I looking behind you? On your side, I'm good, hey? Bye, caterpillar. My long-lost friend. Oh, well, I think I may have caught the tree that the caterpillar was on and then flung it a couple of meters. Sorry, caterpillar. But I'm sure it's quite resilient and will be okay. Sorry. Oh no. Right. Thankfully, Jigger's not a very long vehicle. Now, speaking of butterflies and moths and caterpillars, Alistair wants to know, how do you tell the sex between a male and female? Just watch your head here. Now typically the male butterflies and the male moths are more colourful or have various markings on them. Alright, we're going to have to go underneath this tree. Right, have to do it teamwork over here. Are you good? We'll go forward slowly. There we go, we're done. Fantastic, and now up we go. Now, it is quite difficult. I think from the larvae perspective, I don't know if there are any differences. I've never really been taught the differences of the sexes of the larvae, so perhaps there aren't any. Maybe there's some subtle differences, but definitely when they become adults, whatever they may be a moth or a butterfly, you have to sort of look. Here's one of the males. I think this is Tinyo again. You have to sort of look at every single species of butterfly, like we do with the birds, of course, as that typically the males are brightly coloured versus or have more distinct markings, and then of course the females being a little bit on the lighter side. Now let's carry on going around though. This is just one male. I want to loop around while we've got some light to get to the others. We'll do a little bit of driving here. Remember, we're racing against the light this afternoon, so I'm going to try and do it as quick as I can. I smell lots of lion dung around here. I'm just trying to have a quick look to see if I can spot where the pride was. Remember, we were looking from the other side of the drainage line. Alison, good afternoon to you. Want to know if I ever feel nervous. Oh my goodness, they've already crossed the drainage line. Look at them going down there. Okay, well, we're going to have to carry on following them. There they go. I'm going to try and zip around back onto Mvubu Road and then catch them. Let's do that. And while I do that, I'm going to tell you though about Alison, no, don't ever really feel too nervous. It was, you know, when it was really intimidating, those when we were doing those safari marathons and we were using the infrared lights and we'd sit in complete darkness. You couldn't see anything around you. That was quite scary. And then having them roar and not knowing where they all were and just feeling the vibrations. That was pretty intimidating. But other than that, no, I'm not too worried. Okay, luckily we've got an open gap here. I do just want to I'm going to have a little chat with Mike just to let him know that they're moving. But let's very quickly shoot across to Byron and get an update from him.
So we don't have anything just yet. Trying to find any sign of animals. I heard some elephants earlier, but through quite a dense, thick area. They were in the distance. We haven't had too much luck with anything else, but the temperatures dropped. The light is dimming slightly, so we may find something interesting. Ooh, Heidi has asked an interesting question. Heidi has asked, which nocturnal animal has the largest eyes? Good question. All right, Heidi. Well, he has a nocturnal-ish animal, but it's not one that we're looking for. Oh dear, I've managed to find Taylor. Hi. Oh no. Okay, enjoy it. Look at that. It's the first time I've managed to find Taylor. So Heidi, getting back to your question about the largest eyes on a nocturnal animal. Sure, that is very interesting. Trying to think. Owls have very large eyes, but we need to think in terms of size of animals. And I would say the predators have very big eyes. You know, leopards and lions have got very large eyes, especially because they are mainly nocturnal. But then the question is, do you go in proportion to body size? That's a tricky question. You know what? I actually don't know. That's probably my best answer is I'm just not sure. I think, let me make space quickly for this other vehicle coming past. So largest nocturnal eyes is in proportion to body size. If you think about owls and that, they've got very large eyes. Evening everyone. So they've got very large eyes. The lions, the leopards, they've got very large eyes, also in proportion to their body size and because they are nocturnal. I'm trying to think what else is there. We've got little birds called nightjars, and nightjars sit on the road in the evenings, and they usually try and catch insects that come into the middle of the road because the road holds a lot of warmth, so you get a lot of insects on the road, and these nightjars come and land, and those birds also have very large eyes. The other one that I can think of, now that I think of it, let me show you a picture, is probably a bush baby, Heidi. And I love these questions that make me think very carefully. And let me show you a picture of a bush baby. Give me a second, I'll find it for you. And I would say in proportion to body size, it's probably the bush baby. Here we go. And look at that little guy. Look at those big eyes for that tiny little body. Look how big those eyes are. So Heidi, I think I've answered your question. I think it is probably the bush baby, the largest eyes for a nocturnal animal, but again in proportion to its body size. I think it would be the bush baby. All right, that was a great question. Thank you, Heidi. Taylor's managed to find those lions again. Apparently they were moving. Let's see what they are doing.
My goodness, I'm sorry, I'm trying to duck, but we are surrounded by lions, as you can see. Well, I'm just going to sit here as we watch the Nkahumas go past us. Hello, guys. My goodness. Now, look at this one, climbing over the log. Of all the places you've got to walk, it's so typical that they come and walk right up past the vehicle. Now, of course, they wouldn't do this if they weren't comfortable with us. They're going in front of us, they're going around us, and I'm completely relaxed. They're not bothered at all. Look at the little one coming in from the back. Oh, listen to this. Did you hear that? That was that male. I'm sorry, I'm trying to duck and dive out of the shot. He obviously doesn't want that cub to get close. Oh, and that little one getting left behind. It's okay, don't panic. And also trying to keep out of sight of that male, because he keeps growling at it. Now we need to try and get out of here so we can get up to them. He's still coming, but let's get in front of them because that other male is going to take ages to get here. Okay, right, we need to get back onto the road, so I'm going to have to choose another route. Woo! I think one of my little wheels spun and then kicked up a whole lot of mud onto the vehicle. Going through here. Sorry about all the clunk, 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 clunk. I had to go the long way around, unfortunately, just because There were lots of trees, but we're almost back on the road now, and it's opened up nicely again. There was just a couple of trees that the elephants unfortunately had pushed over, and then of course it makes it quite difficult for us to move, but we're catching up to the lions. You can see this is a much easier route. This is the route I came in. Hello lions, you're walking exactly the same pathway that I took. Now I'm hoping they're going to go down for a drink so it opens up a little bit better. I think that's exactly where they're going. We're going to zip around and get in front of them. Hi boy. Alright, you can see he's just watching. I'm going to just go past him. Cheers big man, we'll see you just now. We're going to carry along. Right, let's leave him. Yeah, they're going straight down to that big pan, so let's go wait for them and have them coming towards us. I think it's always a nice idea to try and get there before the animal behind. Oh my goodness. So excited. Look at all the buffalo. Look at all of those buffalo. Woohoo! I'm filled with adrenaline now. We're still going to try and get down and watch these lions. We'll just not even tell the buffalo that the lions are here. Goodness. So much adrenaline going on right now. I'm so excited. Now this is very exciting because we know how successful the lions are when it comes to catching their dinner, and they just keep seeming to have so much luck. I even see some wildebeest around, and I think the wildebeest might see those lions because they've come out into the open. Remember, this is all part of nature. The lions have got to eat. Everybody's got to eat. Liam, can we go down here? Oh, we're going to go down here. I'm just trying to find a spot. We don't want to sink in the mud, of course. I'm not going to drive into the wet stuff. But we'll try and just head along here and have a look at them. Lovely reflection coming through. There we go. Have a look at all these lines. Sorry, I've parked at a little bit of an angle, a little bit of a slope. As you can see, it's getting quite dark now. And you can see the lodge, the lights in the background reflecting on the water too. The lapwings are going crazy. Isn't this beautiful? The lapwings are now about to start dive bombing onto the lions to try and deter them. But it's been a very hot day and the lions have been very successful in catching all sorts of things. So it's only right that they've come down to have a drink after a lovely afternoon. That is so stunning. I love how they've also all gone into little groups. The 3 on the right, looks like the 2 in the middle, and of course then the rest of them on the far left. And you can still hear how angry those lapwings are. Now I wonder if those buffalo that we saw aren't going to come down in this direction to also have one last drink just before it gets too dark. And ideally that would be a perfect strategy for the Nkuhumas. And there's not a breath of wind this evening, which could actually work against the Nkuhumas. They like to rely on the wind. That's just because when there is a bit of a breeze, it does muffle sound. And of course it can also work in their favor if they are sort of downwind of the animals. And they won't be able to smell them coming either. But we'll see. It's going to be a dark evening. There's no stars tonight. Oh, I need to turn my radio on and tell Mike where the lions are. They seem to not be able to find them. Ephraim and Mike, please come to the dam. I'm going off air again. Just quickly let them know, and I'm going to turn the radio off. Sure, they're very thirsty though, lapping up as much as they can. And look how they drink. Look at the technique that they use, how they stick their tongues into the water. And you see how it almost curves backwards? And then they're able to lap it up, and it sort of hops into their mouth, I suppose. Well, the light is getting quite bad, I'm afraid. But we'll try and stick with them for as long as possible. Like I said, these cubs are still just a little bit too young to put a spotlight on them unnecessarily. Here comes one of the males. He's finally made it. Looks like Mfumo coming down. I'm just listening and I'm just watching all the lions. Look at him running. Unfortunately, we're going to have to pan away from him in a moment. He's trying to keep up with one of the other lionesses. Did you see all that power though as he was running? It's just pure muscle, even when they've got big fat bellies. It's incredible to see how fast they can go. There you go, going past the dam cam. And I know that the dam cam isn't unfortunately working, but don't worry, we are trying to fix it as quick as we can. But these things do take time. And there, the honeymoon couple goes off into the distance. And it seems as though the rest of the pride, the one little cub has become quite brave now and is following after them, but sort of with no more parental supervision. It's already on the other side of the dam. You're becoming very big and brave. Now, George, you're wondering, you've asked a fantastic question, if the lions will roll in the dung of perhaps the herbivores that they're looking to hunt. They do indeed. We often see them rolling in buffalo dung and elephant dung, and that does work very well to mask the scent of a lion. We were chatting about if lions smell. Wow, did you see the speed that that little cub managed to get to? Wow, I even saw dust coming off behind it. Now they're slowly making their way around again. Oh, we're still waiting for Tino. Tino seems to be lagging behind. Oh no, I've just seen him. He's coming down slowly. There he is. He's not rushing at all. He's taking his time and marking his territory. And now he's coming down. I wonder if he's going to go for a drink. Mfumo didn't. He just went straight after the other lioness, not letting her out of his sight. Here's the little cubs. Be careful you don't go too far, because if something comes running out of the bushes, you're not going to have anyone to protect you. And that's what happens, is as these cubs get older, they get bolder. And they have to learn the lessons the hard way of wandering too far away from the protection of Mom or any of the other pride members. And trying to stalk. Look at them, they're really starting to get wild now. It's amazing, hey, how close the lodge is and all this is happening. Like I said, sometimes you don't have to go out on a game drive at all. So you can just sit from whichever lodge you're at and watch and have all the animals come around to you. But you can see the light has now faded very quickly. There goes Tinyo. He doesn't seem like he's going to have a drink from this pan. Perhaps he'll go to the top of the dam. Maybe we must go around, I think, VM. Should we zip around? Because at least if he drinks from the other dam, we may get some light that's coming off him. Let's do that. Right, I'm going to zip around, and while I do so, let's go back to Byron.
So glad Taylor got to see those lions moving around a little bit. They've been resting for most of the day because it's been quite warm and their bellies are full. We are in search of any nocturnal little animals, maybe one of those bush babies stick their heads out. I could hear some owls calling in the distance, but they've stopped now. Ray has actually just asked us a question about the owls, and Ray would like to ask, what is the biggest owl that we can see in this area? So Ray, the largest owl that we get here is the giant eagle owl, or the Burroughs eagle owl. Let me see if I can quickly show you. I'm not going to find it in that book. Let me quickly find it for you, Ray. Beautiful, beautiful big owl. And there we go. There we go. That beautiful bird over there. The giant eagle owl, or it's now known as the Burroughs eagle owl. See the name Burroughs? Burroughs eagle owl. I still prefer giant eagle owl. Rosie, Dave's laughing at the name changes. So that is the largest owl, and it has got those beautiful pink eyelids. And when I was here in June, I actually managed to find 2 or 3 of them. I have not heard one calling since I've been back now, but maybe we are lucky and we still find one in the next little while, moving into summer. They are around, definitely are around. Trying to see if we can't find any little scorpions, perhaps. Occasionally you find these creatures walking along the road, scorpions or interesting little beetles at night. And then obviously the chameleons. We want to try and find chameleons. I'm hoping we have some luck in the next few days because of all the rain. So there's a lot more moisture, and we can see a lot of reptile activity, like from the tortoises and that. Having a look carefully around here. Got to check these leaves or the trees, the branches very carefully if we'd like to try to find a chameleon. Scorpion on the trees. I'd love to be able to find you one on the tree. Quite an art to try and drive and use the spotlight and check the road for anything. We get used to it. I'm going to continue my search. If I do find anything, we'll let you know. Let's see what those lions are doing now.
Now we're very, very sort of stuck for light at the moment. We're going to keep a nice wide shot so VM can do all his fancy camera work and try and allow as much light as he can so you can all see okay. But we're going to have to call it quits, I'm afraid, in a couple of minutes. And it seems as though the lions have now come across the dam. So for the moment, the buffalo are safe. And I'm sure with all the commotion, they were making quite a bit of noise at the dam. The buffalo have got very good hearing. They probably would have heard those lions making all that noise. So perhaps they will move off. Look at the cubs all chasing each other. They seem to have more energy than ever now. Oh, careful who you go and play with. Look at them. They jump all over the males. They're not scared. But I think I like the male's sort of tactic to sort of deterring the cubs, is they just ignore them and then the little ones get quite bored. Another one going over to try its luck. Oh, be careful. They're so tolerant. Oh, that is so lovely. Oh, very wild. Especially when he swats his tail around quite quickly. Oh, careful. Racing around. And it's funny how we're struggling to see them. Our eyes don't work so well at night, but their eyes work incredibly. And I can imagine they're just carrying on like it was daytime. And off they go again down to play on that steep bank where I presume it sort of provides lots and lots of entertainment for those little ones, rolling up and down the hill. And I'm sure you can hear those cicadas. Very peaceful this evening. Even the birds are still chittering and chattering. I thought they would have gone to bed by now. They are so quick. They never used to be that fast. Remember watching them almost even when I started here 2 months ago. They were quite wobbly on their legs, and they definitely could not reach speeds like that, let alone leap at one another at a full speed. Even here the hardy-dars. And of course you heard the spurfowls earlier. Now it won't be too much longer until we can start using spotlights on the cubs. Probably give it another 2 months or so when the youngest cubs get to about 6 months, and then we'll be good to go and we can carry on. But isn't this lovely? Guy, oh my goodness, so Guy seems to think that I should hang it. Oh, Di seems to think that I should stay here for the rest of the evening and pretend to be the damn cam. Well, if the lions hang around, I actually wouldn't mind it so much. It's beautiful and cool and refreshing out here. Someone will just have to bring me dinner. Possibly Kirsty will bring me dinner. Kirsty says she maybe will bring me dinner. And Kirsty, what happens if I need to request a cup of hot chocolate at 12 o'clock at night? Who brings that to me? Kirsty just says Louise will have to bring it to me then. I know the light is fading and you're probably going to see that the movements are going to start looking a little bit slower. But it's the best we can do. Sorry, Kirsty. There we go. I missed a vital part in the middle of the question that Kirsty was reading to me. So Debbie from Vancouver, good evening to you. You want to know if lions see better at night or during the day. Now, they're very lucky. I think they've got phenomenal eyesight at both times. But I reckon and during the day, with all the various lights, they probably see the best. But of course, compared to the animals that they are hunting, their eyesight is at night is 10-fold better than what any of theirs could be. But it's very different. I can imagine the lions will probably see something very similar to what we see at night when we use the infrared, something along those lines. Oh, they might start roaring. I heard everybody turn your volume up in case these lions start to roar. It sounded like they wanted to, but I'm going to sit here and just in case they do roar, but let's very quickly go across to Byron.
So we haven't found anything just yet. Taylor's been very fortunate and lucky with those lions. So glad she's been able to show it to you. A lot of impala out in the clearings at the moment. This is because they all come out here for safety in the evenings. It's easier to rest out here where it's nice and open. They can keep a lookout for any predators. So a lot of impala all over. No chameleons or anything like that yet. And I do think it's because it's still quite dry, even though we had rain recently. But you know, it takes some of these animals a lot longer to recover. But let's see, maybe I'll find something interesting here. It's always good to have a look at these trees very carefully. Never know what you could find. The odd bush baby or a little scorpion. We're definitely going to have to work harder in the evenings to try and find something for you. But I hope you've enjoyed today with us. It's been wonderful having you. We've had a lot of exciting things happening, especially with the lions, some great elephant sightings. Thank you very much to Dave on camera with me this afternoon. And we will see you tomorrow morning for our sunrise safari. And I'm going to let you get back to Taylor to finish off with the lions. Thank you, everyone.
Look at the beautiful last light as it really starts to disappear now. I'm sitting here hoping. I'm going to shine the spotlight on the male, just on the male now. And we're able to do this. The cubs aren't around him, but as soon as the cubs come around him again, I'm going to have to take the spotlight off. So don't be alarmed if it goes from seeing a lion to seeing nothing. I just don't want to disturb these little ones too much. There's one going to the back. I'm just going to drop the light a little bit. Here we go. But the idea of a spotlight anyway is not to shine it directly in the animal's face. You really just shine it down on the ground below them and let that soft light reflect back up onto them and illuminate them slightly. These spotlights can be quite powerful. And Aqua, you want to do a final cub count. It's unfortunately very... Oh my goodness, I've got the caterpillar on my neck, sorry. Oh no, please. Oh, that's where he went. Remember I flung the caterpillar accidentally from the tree on, and I thought that it went flying. It actually landed up on me in the end. Kirsty says it's called karma, and it landed on my neck. Okay, we'll send him home eventually. So Aqua, it's going to be unfortunately very difficult to try and count these cats now, as it's completely dark and I can't really see anything. And like I said, I can't shine the spotlight on them. But I did have a count as they were funneling past us, and I indeed did count 8. So all 8 of them are still around. I think they're just very sort of split up at the moment. Some of them are relaxing, some of them are playing around, being crazy little cats. Let's see if we can have one last little look. And the only one that doesn't have any cubs surrounding him seems to be this male at the moment. Like I said, the entire pride is all spread out around here. On the left, on the right, they're everywhere. But I think turn up your volume for the last few minutes of the show, because it's sounding really beautiful. Now, of course, never mind. Unfortunately, there is a vehicle revving its engine, so that's not going to sound very nice. That's lovely. Well, I suppose let's have one last look at my friend the caterpillar. It's been an absolute, I can't see him because I don't want to touch him and get all the hairs on him. Well, we won't say goodbye to the caterpillar. I hope you enjoyed the show, and thank you to everybody who was a part of this amazing production this afternoon. But myself and VM, we'll see you tomorrow morning for the sunrise safari. Remember, keep watching, and we'll see you soon. Let's have one last look at the lions.